Your father knows about saving money. Everything I'm wearing, I've had since boot camp.
And I just saved on my car insurance for driving safe with USAA.
Auto insurance that flexes with you.
Keep the fit.
That's what we're made for.
This is Athens, Georgia, where the #1 ranked Bulldogs are back home in Sanford Stadium to take on the Kent State Golden Flashes of the Mid-American Conference. SEC Network Football is live on the air between the hedges. With the College Football Hall of Famer Matt Stinchcomb, I'm Taylor Zarzer. Tara Talmadge is between the hedges. You'll see her in just a second. Stinch, these dogs have not been tested through the first 3 games of the season on the field, whipping each of their 3 opponents. Everybody's saying how historically great this team is, which makes you wonder, is the stiffest competition the noise off the field?
Possibly, yes, because of all the adulation that they're getting and the coaching staff doing their best to temper that, to try to turn their minds inwardly, because really, as you pointed out, they haven't been stress tested yet. Not on the scoreboard and not from the opposition. Really, the toughest team they've played is themselves during the week. A little bit of a different proposition, though, today from Kent State. Not only offensively a little bit different, but defensively, the way that they deploy, it could be a bit of a challenge. It's certainly more of a curveball than the defenses we've seen. And offensively, the talent that they've had, just remarkable. Brock Bowers at tight end, so he's lined up as a flanker. You run a heavy run look, a G lead look. You even hand it off. There's no better fake than an actual handoff. Flip a reverse, ask your quarterback to block 2 defenders. He does it, decleats one of them, and of course your tight end takes it in on a reverse. How about the tight end lining up at tight end? Over the middle, you run a flanker through the back end, so you draw the eyes of the field safety, but then you also fake a run downhill to the boundary safety. He has to fill. It opens up the middle of the field, and Brock Bowers doesn't need this much space to be open or to make yards. He does all the work on his own afterwards. He's just not a guy that's easily tackled. So physical and fast with the ball in his hands.
It's so bizarre to see a guy that's terrific at tight end, and if he wasn't a tight end, he might be a tailback as they get them the football in his hands and let him do the rest. He has been sensational, an All-American last year, certain to be one again this season. Kent State won the toss and deferred. Georgia will receive. This is the second all-time meeting. Georgia and Matt Stinchcomb defeated Kent State 56-3 in 1998. The Golden Flashes are trying their best for us not to be able to identify them today, wearing yellow numbers on those white jerseys. And the Dogs will get it at the 25 with Stetson Bennett at quarterback. Here's Tara Talmadge for more on him.
Well, Stetson Bennett is doing something new this year. It all started after that national championship game. When he was watching it back, he was thinking, oh, I could have done that. I could have done this. So his fix for that was to start mapping out the field and realizing where he can take risks, when he can really push it, and when he needs to be a little bit more patient. Clearly, that is paying off for him so far this season.
He's a Heisman contender so far, Tara. Yeah. He was the Walter Camp National Player of the Week in Week 1 and has played terrific football through the first 3 games of the season, completing 73% of his passes so far on the year, and he's going to throw one here on the first play. He wants to go deep to McConkey, trying for separation, and he can't make the grab. Good coverage by Montre Miller for Kent State.
Good bit of hand fighting there towards the end of that route. This was something that Stetson Bennett mentioned coming into the game. You know, what would you want to do better so far? Because we talk about the offensive proficiency, deep shots. Wants to hit more deep shots. Had one there. McConkey just incapable of coming up with it.
So it's 2nd down and 10 for Stetson, who at least at the beginning of this play lines up under center with Kenny McIntosh behind him, and it's Bowers, just like Stinch talked about in the open. Just get him the football. There he goes. 75 yards. The late, great Larry Munson once said, my God, a freshman? How about, my God, a tight end? 75 yards on a sweep for a touchdown. That is the longest run for Georgia this season by over 50 yards. Previous long was 20. That goes for 75. And just 19 seconds into the game, Podlesny makes it 7-0.
Just a remarkable talent. Brock Bowers lined up, hipped off of the left side of the offensive front. And this is just speed. You get the defense to lean the opposite direction. Kind of like what we showed right off the top. This guy is different. This is more than just a tight end. We asked them, is he a positionless player on the offense? And Coach Smart, he kind of took exception to that. He's like, you see that in basketball. But then when we offered, with 19 on your team, would he be a positionless guy? And even Coach Smart kind of allowed, close to it. Because you think about it, they throw it to him. They throw it to him at tight end. They throw it to him at receiver. They hand it to him. They tap it to him. They reverse it to him. If they could punt to themselves, they would punt it to him. It's just, he's one of those talents where.
Can he throw?
That's a great question. That's one thing we haven't seen yet, right? How about that? And who knows? Maybe that's in the books. But how about Georgia came out throwing haymakers? They go deep on the first play on play action, and then they hit a fly sweep to their tight end.
It's taken at the goal line by Marquez Cooper, and Cooper is out near the 30-yard line where he is wrestled down. And Sean Lewis's offense comes onto the field with Colin Schlee, the junior from Maryland, playing quarterback. Stinch, you've been saying all week as you've been watching film on the Golden Flashes, this is one of the more unique concepts you'll see in college football. Why?
And we'll see if they deploy that. It's kind of their clock offense. So this is an up-tempo team in Kent State. They want to go fast, but they might not want to go fast versus this Georgia team, as explosive as they are. It might take more time, a lot of shifts and motions pre-snap.
Schlee's in trouble. Down he goes. He'll lose a yard or two on the play as Jamon Dumas-Johnson makes the, I guess we're going to call it a sack, right? Because he's behind the 25-yard line. We'll see exactly where they mark this. It's at the line of scrimmage, so maybe it won't be a sack. And the reason why I'm wondering, Stinch, is because the Dogs only have one of those on the season. Michael Williams had the other one, and they will give Dumas-Johnson a sack there, straight ahead running for Marquez Cooper. And Cooper, with a burst of speed, goes up to the 36-yard line where Malachi Starks makes the tackle. It'll be third down.
Yeah, much has been made of the lack of sacks. Part of it, though, is because the ball typically has been coming out very quickly versus this Georgia defense. Keep in mind, Kent State treats third down like a second down. It's nothing for them to run right here.
And that's what they fake, and Schlee keeps it himself. And he is tackled at the 35 by Dumas-Johnson again. It's a good thing he didn't hand that football off because Nolan Smith decleated Cooper. Fourth down.
Nolan Smith coming off one of his best performances as a Dog. Really impressive game. As you see, Malachi Starks, one of the best defenders so far this season as a true freshman, keeping in mind on one of the better defensive units in the country.
Josh Smith will punt for Kent State. Ladd McConkey stands at his own 25-yard line. It's a terrific punt by Smith. McConkey drifts back to his 16, and he muffed it. And Kent State dives on it at the 26-yard line. Didn't look like McConkey ever really got that football. It clipped his leg. Bryce Shepard may have distracted him as he's the one running in front of him here. He just drops it.
Bounced right off of his right knee as the ball was coming through, made it through both his hands and elbows. And that's the kind of breaks you have to get. Kent State stymied on offense for the open. You give up a big play offensively, but you pick up what is effectively a huge gainer off the muff punt. Special teams on the road. You got to run the football and win the special teams battle.
Marvin Pierre's the one that distracted him, and Shepard the one that recovered the fumble. And so now Kent State has a short field at the 26-yard line. That is the first mistake Georgia has made this year when it comes to turning the football over. And Cooper might have gotten an inch, if that. Dogs' run game has been terrific on the first 4 plays.
Well, you think back to the opener for Georgia versus Oregon. One time Oregon gets into, at least early in the game, into a scoring position. They're able to generate a takeaway. Really, this is the first adverse scenario that they've seen this early. This is the clock offense. Watch them move multiple shifts. Who ends up at quarterback? Around 10 seconds, Colin Schlee will be under center, or at least behind center.
We've had 4 guys that have been behind center, and it'll be Schlee who hands it to Cooper for a yard to the 24-yard line. And listen, Kirby Smart, it's almost like he wants to see his team face some adversity at some point this season. This is truly, Snitch, the first mistake they've made this year. 3rd and 9 for Kent State at the Dogs' 24.
And this is trickier than it appears. We talk about this is not necessarily a pass down.
Schlee wants to pass, but he'll never get a chance. Nolan Smith has been uncovered so far. The Dogs had 1 sack on the season coming in. They have 2 on the first 2 possessions.
So off the left side of the Kent State offensive front, Nolan Smith, who has been on a tear, just wins with his hands right now. Gets left tackle Marcellus Marshall's hands down almost immediately, and it's a clean run to Colin Schlee. Really surprised, actually, that Kent State didn't run the football right there.
Andrew Glass's long on the season is 42 yards. This is from 45, and that is right down Broad Street here in Athens. And Kent State is on the board. In fact, that's the first team that scored against Georgia in the first quarter this season. Dogs up 7-3.
As one of the most successful education initiatives in the state, the Georgia Lottery-funded Hope Scholarship Program currently provides Georgia students with financial assistance for attendance at eligible Georgia colleges, universities, or technical colleges. Since its inception, more than $13 billion in lottery proceeds have been appropriated to more than 2 million Hope Scholarship recipients. Since inception, the Georgia Lottery has awarded more than $2.9 billion to the University of Georgia for Hope Scholarship recipients. Joining us today to present a check to President Moorhead is Georgia Lottery President and CEO Gretchen Corbin. Thank you to the Georgia Lottery for your continued support of education in the state of Georgia.
Turning your squad into a car wash? Weird flex. Turning your squad into a carpool so you drive less? Good flex. Auto insurance that flexes with you. That's what we're made for.
Abysmal. J.B. Pritzker has done an abysmal job. It's just amazing how he comes on television with these ads just lying through his teeth about how great Illinois is doing. And when you look at the actual facts, and my business is wealth management, so I understand numbers and finance, etc. And the state is seriously, deeply in debt. I really question whether there is a way for them to get out of it. The time to change is now.
Earful after McConkey muffed the punt, the first Georgia turnover of the season. Now, Kirby does this in practice to guys like McConkey all the time, in part because he said we haven't had any adversity in the game until now, and now you're seeing it in the game too.
Coaching opportunity, and they're not going to pass up on any of them. And Kirby Smart recognizes, we just talked about, they've had a clean slate from a takeaway, or turnover rather, standpoint. No longer the case.
And you wonder if you'll see Kearis Jackson, who has the ball now, returning punts. He's the other option back there. There he is returning a kick back to the 17-yard line. And so Stetson Bennett, McConkey, and Brock Bowers, who had the 75-yard touchdown run, will come out on the field. Hard to believe the Dogs had no turnovers in the first 3 games of the season. Now they are +5. They fall to +5 in turnover margin here in week 4. Bennett has been terrific with the football, throwing 5 touchdowns against no interceptions. He's also run it in 3 times. He almost had a 4th last week against the Gamecocks. Did get 1 in that game. Hasn't run it with his tailbacks yet, and he throws behind his intended receiver, big Darnell Washington, 2nd down.
Stetson Bennett take a shot as he released that football, ended up on the turf, but it has been a very efficient year, to say the least. I think last week, 16 to 23, and the 284 that he put up. Also made some plays with his legs. Has been especially efficient in that element of the game.
Yeah, Keyshawn Gamble got the hit snitch on Stetson Bennett on that last play. Now it's Kenny McIntosh, and McIntosh gets loose for a 1st down run up to the 29-yard line. That's a pickup of 12 for the all-purpose tailback.
Big hole, and really a little bit late filling from Nico Bolden. He's a defender that they're trying to spill these runs to. They want number 24 for Kent State to make a lot of plays. That time, receivers coming in, Dylan Bell with the late hit.
Fake to McIntosh, and Bennett will keep himself. A lot of design quarterback runs as he takes a huge hit from Caleb Johns as Bennett was giving himself up there. It's a pickup of 7. Bennett, as I was mentioning a minute ago, Stinch, he had a touchdown run on a quarterback keeper in the first half last week, then just about walked it in the second half. And there's McIntosh. You're still wondering who the Zamir White is on this team. It feels like McIntosh is the James Cook, the guy that catches so many passes out of the backfield. Can run it too, and he finds 1st down running room around the right side where JoJo Evans is going to push him out. They're going to put this right at the sticks, and they're going to mark it short. So it's going to be 3rd and maybe an inch, and Georgia's ready to go quickly.
Yeah, Georgia quick over the ball. Big Darnell Washington to the left.
And they dump it off to Bowers for an easy pitch and catch, 1st down into Kent State territory.
You know, that's excellent execution, right? You get over the ball, you're heavy-handed up front. Everybody's leaning on their hands, and you're thinking, man, here comes the run. No, there's an easy access throw just outside to Brock Bowers. Take it. That's a pitch and catch. That's easy money. Excellent job by Georgia, not only seeing that opportunity, picking it up and hitting it.
He actually looked like a tight end on that play.
Yeah, that's right. He kind of did.
13-yard completion. Bennett now will dump it to McIntosh, and he's so good at this, but a nice shoestring tackle made by Caleb Johns. McIntosh already with 16 receptions on the season. This one goes for 10 yards.
Really well-executed screen that time. Offensive line got out in front and escorted. Great tackle by Johns.
And Bennett down the field. This is underthrown, and it's picked off at the 5-yard line. That is Montre Miller, who wins the one-on-one ball. Georgia had no turnovers in the first 3 games of the season. They have 2 in the first quarter.
He's trying to get it to Marcus Rosemy-Jack-Saint, and Rosemy-Jack-Saint had a step. However, he gets beaten across his face late in the route. So see him working back towards the middle, and he just doesn't locate where the football is. Great job working back to the football by Montre Miller. Rosemy-Jack-Saint did not have a feel for where this ball was. And now we've seen 2 turnovers by Georgia early in this game. One in special teams and another with a downfield shot, and the downfield passing game still eludes.
Cooper will run it up to the 9-yard line for a pickup of 4. And again, Stinch, you want to win, you want to play to your standard no matter what the opposition does. But Kirby has sort of been clamoring for some adversity. You don't want your team to fail, but you want to see how they handle it. Here's your chance.
You certainly don't want to create it, right? In game, you never want to create that adversity. If it's incidental, sure. And so far, Georgia shooting itself in the foot, not only in special teams, but a poorly executed downfield pass. So there's a procedure penalty by Kent State. They're near
False
the
start.
closed end of the end zone.
Offense. Number 81. Half the distance to the goal. Second down.
It's Kyle Olson, today's referee. Devontae Walker with the false start penalty for the Golden Flashes.
Defensively, you think about that short field. Kent State had an opportunity. Off the muff punt, they went backwards. And then now here, when you're in your coming out offense, cannot afford a procedure penalty.
Cooper might have gotten a yard before he was drilled by Smile Munden. Big sophomore from Dallas, Georgia, has blossomed into a starter this season.
Smile Munden is one of those guys. He's built almost like an outside linebacker, long guy, able to cover some ground, but plays off the ball and really arrives physically. Think about the last couple of third downs that Kent State has had versus this defense. They were sacked both times. You have to think right here, you got to be very smart. I don't know if you're even thinking conversion as you are room to punt.
Schlee gets it off, throws it deep and over the head of his intended target. He did put it where only Walker would have a chance at it, but Lassiter was running with him. Fourth down.
You know what, Kent State, they're not backing down, that's for sure. You think about taking a shot in the red zone with the pass. They came up short, they nailed a field goal, and instead here, why not take a shot to get off your line?
And Ladd McConkey will come back out after muffing that first punt. It was a 44-yarder by Josh Smith, and Smith is standing under his own goalpost at the moment. They don't just shift on passing plays, they do it on punts too. Watch out, it's blocked, and it goes back out of the end zone. Jalen Walker blocked it. This would be a safety. There is a flag down.
Penalties against Kent State.
Holding, kicking team. That penalty is declined. Result of the play is a safety.
Time to celebrate after Jalen Walker comes in unblocked to give the Dogs two.
Georgia's been very aggressive in their punt team, their punt cover team rather. So you look at these guys, they've been coming after some punts all season long, given the opportunity. Kent State went with a big shift, and you could see a number of this punt return unit still inside, unblocked. Ball never made it off the kicker's foot.
The freshman from Salisbury, North Carolina, gave Josh Smith and Kent State no chance. It's 9-3.
We made USAA Renters Insurance for the stuff you love. Because if it's worth lugging up 5 floors, it's worth protecting for as low as 33 cents a day. It's that simple. USAA, what you're made of, we're made for. USAA. Find it, try it, paint it, love it. Find it, try it, paint it, love it. Find it, try it, paint it, love it, love it, love it, love it.
Back in Kirby Smart's favor after 2 early turnovers. His defense makes a play. Jalen Walker blocks a punt, and the Dogs are up 9-3, and they will get the football. See the numbers so far in this game. Kirby trying to get his return team set. Probably don't practice safety punt returns very often. Here's Kearis Jackson at the 20-yard line. And he runs ahead to past the 40, where the Dogs will get back on offense. And yes, they had a 75-yard end around for a touchdown from Brock Bowers. But other than that, Stetson Bennett hasn't looked as sharp as he has the first 3 weeks.
Well, you think, they got the one to Ladd McConkey. McConkey couldn't come up with it after hand fighting with the defender on the very first play of the game. And of course, the ball downfield to Rosemy Jack Saint. Looked like it was underthrown a hair, but also Jack Saint allowing the defender to cross his face and get underneath that route. But you're right, not nearly as efficient early in this game.
He's 2 of 5 with an interception. That's Kendall Milton that moves to his left, hands it to him, and Milton goes nowhere. He's going to lose yardage on this play. Oliver Billett with the tackle. Stinch, what's the difference between McIntosh and Milton, if there is one?
I think Milton feels when he runs it like he's more downhill. He's got a little bit more behind his pads than McIntosh. McIntosh, as you characterized earlier, more reminiscent to James Cook. A threat out of the backfield as a receiver. A good runner, no doubt, between the tackles. Milton has got just a little bit more thump to him.
Kendall's out, Kenny's in. Stetson throws, and he throws a bit behind the receiver, Dylan Bell, but Bell makes a good catch for 9 yards. It's 3rd down.
That time with the defender kind of squatting on the hash, that ball behind Bell, but where it needed to be so that it wasn't a threat to be picked off. Bell did a great job of adjusting to it, the true freshman. And he's out there early, of course, because A.D. Mitchell not available today.
Georgia sensational on 3rd down. 1 for 1 today, over 60%. Number 1 in the SEC, top 3 in the country. Converting on this play, and they'll do it again as Bennett puts his foot in the dirt, and he gives himself up inside the 40. Now he lost the ball, but he was already down. More effective running from the senior quarterback for 12 yards.
And this is a design QB run. This isn't a scramble. He sells it really well, holds it. Linemen and backs get downfield, are able to get some blocks. And QB draw last week as well versus South Carolina.
Marvin Pierre is down for Kent State. They'll tend to him, and we will be right back at Sanford Stadium.
Share it on Instagram at the Napa Network with the hashtag NapaDogs.
We made USAA Renters Insurance for the stuff you love. Because if it's worth lugging up 5 floors, it's worth protecting for as low as 33 cents a day. It's that simple. USAA. What you're made of, we're made for. USAA.
Chevy Silverado. It's got the power you want and the capability you need to do the job, so you can get to the important work. Find new moments, find new roads. Get a $500 cash allowance on all 2022 Silverado pickups with a 2.7-liter turbo engine. Plus, now during truck season, get a $1,000 accessory allowance toward a new Chevy truck with accessories. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
This offense in the first month of the season has been one of the best in the country, scoring more points than they did per game last year, Stinch, and they're doing it in a different way than they did when they won the national championship.
Yeah, you look at the passing yards, obviously elevated, and what's kind of curious too, of course, is that you did transition at quarterback a season ago. I think part of this is not only a healthy wide receiving core, although they're without A.D. Mitchell today, but also what they're doing with the passing game. A lot of quick passes.
Fake the flip and then throw it out to McIntosh, and McIntosh gets down to the 31-yard line. Yes, Todd Monken has talked to you and to many analysts so far this season about creating a new identity, and so far so great.
Yeah, he's been able to distribute the football really well. Obviously, the center of gravity oftentimes is Brock Bowers, and justifiably so. But they're capable of spreading the football around. 11 different guys a game ago, a conference game, and on the road, 11 different guys caught passes. I mean, they've been able to involve a number of skilled players in offense so far.
Todd's hiding in there somewhere in the glass, and this is a handoff that goes to Kenny Milton for a first down run. We haven't seen a lot of traditional runs by Coach Monken so far this season. This one gets the Dogs now down to the 27-yard line. Todd's a 56-year-old offensive coordinator now in his 3rd year, and some wondered, would he elevate Georgia's offense when he took the job here? He certainly has done that as the play caller in Athens, former NFL offensive coordinator with several different teams. Empty backfield here. Quick throw to McConkey, and Ladd gets ahead inside the 24-yard line where C.J. Harris makes the tackle. A play like that is just the same as turning around and handing it off for 3-4 yards.
It's a really long handoff. That's a great way to characterize it. I mean, you see who's blocking out in front of him. It's Brock Bowers, right? So it's effectively, you got your tight end out there in space. It's a good job of spreading the football around, finding ways to get the ball out, partly because this defense wants to push you to the perimeter. Well, Georgia's so far this season been capable of leveraging their perimeter players.
Dejon Edwards, third different tailback we've seen in the game, is in the backfield. Throw across the middle, and again, a throw behind the intended target. Dylan Bell was open.
That time, Bell just takes his eyes off the ball. True freshman out there. Georgia feeling the absence of A.D. Mitchell in that regard. And yeah, ball's behind. You've got to come up with that catch. Not well placed, but very catchable ball. True freshman with a coaching moment right there over the middle, because you catch that, and even if it stops you, there's a chance you get in the end zone.
Georgia needs to get to the 17 to move the chains. Bennett is going to throw, and this is a good ball to McConkey for a first down to the 14-yard line.
Well, talking with Stetson Bennett yesterday, and the familiarity, the chemistry, really, that he's been able to develop over the course of the season, in season last year, right? Because it wasn't as if he's getting those first-team reps. He had to earn that over the course of the year to develop that chemistry, but that's not the case coming into this year. And McConkey, even though he's very early in his career at UGA, one of those guys that is a comfort zone in the passing game.
10th play of this drive after the Dogs got the safety. This is a handoff to Edwards, and Dejon won't get much. He's more of the traditional in-the-game downhill ground gainer as opposed to Milton or McIntosh. Dejon, a junior from Norman Park, Georgia, that's had to wait his turn. He was a fifth-string tailback the last 2 years, but that doesn't mean he didn't play. He got a lot of carries, elevated from fifth string to third string this year. McIntosh back in as Edwards goes out. Bennett facing pressure, and McConkey heard the footsteps.
Yep.
C.J. West had the hit on the quarterback. But this is one McConkey could have grabbed.
Tough afternoon so far for Ladd McConkey. This is a touchdown. That's a catch you make. There's no doubt he felt the pressure coming downhill, knew it, kind of alligator-armed that ball. A drop on the deep ball, a muff punt. You see Brian McClendon over there. Those his better players struggling a little bit early in this game.
Georgia's been perfect on third down so far today, but this is a little...
Kirby Smart with a timeout there.
Timeout, Georgia. Timeout, Georgia. Their first of the half. 30-second timeout.
First quarter has been a bit strange for Georgia. They've ended the game against their first three opponents in the first quarter. The first series of the game, you thought it was more of the same as Brock Bowers went around the end for a 75-yard touchdown run. But then McConkey muffed the punt, led to a Kent State field goal. And then Bennett threw his first interception of the season. But the Dogs made Kent State pay as Jalen Walker blocked the punt. And they've driven down inside the Kent State 20. They're currently on the 12-yard line on a 3rd and 8. But the offense really hasn't felt the same rhythm we saw them have the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, there's definitely been it's been imprecise, to say the least. And you think about 19 of 20 in the red zone these last couple of games, 5 field goals, 7 touchdowns. They're 7 for 7 in that opener. That set the bar exceptionally high.
3rd and 8 with McIntosh standing next to Bennett. Stetson, the pocket's collapsing. He waited too long, and C.J. West sacks him outside the 25-yard line.
nowhere to go with the football downfield, and a great job up front by Kent State. Ended up having Kenny McIntosh tripped in protection. Tate Ratledge got beat on the edge inside. Stetson Bennett nowhere to go with that football. A little bit loose with that football in the pocket as well to force the field goal attempt.
Second sack for Coach Lewis's squad in the first half, and this means that just inside 40 yards, it'll be a 39-yard attempt from Podlesny, and that is right down the heart. Georgia now leads 12-3 over Coach Sean Lewis's Kent State Golden Flashes. He's 36 years old, his 5th season as the head coach in Kent, Ohio. He played tight end at Wisconsin, was an offensive coordinator for Bowling Green and Syracuse. And our meeting with him earlier this week, Stinch, you seem rather intrigued by this guy as a real up-and-comer in the college ranks.
Yeah, more than intrigued, man. I mean, really an impressive guy. And I will say their record, and even I would say the margins in these games that they've played so far this season, I don't think that's an accurate depiction of this Kent State program and where they are under Sean Lewis. I mean, there's no doubt from a trajectory standpoint, these guys have a vision. And there's certainly been a strategy from a scheduling standpoint as well. But in game, you can see they give teams issues, and they've played up. Let's say that. You're talking about a couple of ranked teams, right? Washington started out with them, and of course you play Oklahoma, and then you come down here to Athens. You're not nervous.
For more on Coach Lewis, let's go down to Tara.
Well, you know, talking with Kent State head coach Sean Lewis earlier this week, he said that the key for his team this week was going to be not being naive. They could not come into this one thinking that everything they've done so far this season is going to work against Georgia. They had to window dress their base concepts and get the Georgia staff thinking. Seeing how it's going so far, I definitely think that staff is probably thinking, what are they going to do against this Kent State team right now?
And there's no question, Tara, so far they have done that. Since you were talking about that record, overall record of 20-26, doesn't reflect the progress Kent State's made. That's in part because they'll play anyone. Here's Schlee throwing across the middle to Devontae Walker for 7 yards. Played Washington to start the season in Seattle, went to Norman, Oklahoma, and were competitive against the Sooners in week 2. And now here playing Georgia today. 2nd and 3, Schlee trying to escape pressure, just wants to throw it away and does into the Georgia bench. Bennett with a drop on the sidelines, by the way. It's 3rd down.
You know, it's interesting, you know, look at those schedule and how it unfolded. Well, this is a team that on the road versus Oklahoma, now currently thought to be the number 6 team in the country. They miss a field goal. Otherwise, they probably go into half up 6-0 on the road. Instead, they miss it. Ball goes the other way. Oklahoma scores, and of course, it gets away from them. But this is a team that can challenge you.
Packed house at Sanford Stadium roaring at Schlee, and he gets it off, but the receiver, Chris Leach, just tripped over the turf monster. 4th down.
You know, the arrow pointing the opposite direction on the 30-yard line, I think that's what got Leach, because if he doesn't trip right there, there's one defender and he's blocked to that side. That screen was well executed pre-catch. As soon as he caught the ball, it unraveled. Otherwise, that's a 1st down, maybe even a big gainer.
3rd punt for Josh Smith. First one was muffed by McConkey. The second one was blocked for his safety. That will have to wait. It'll be the first play of the 2nd quarter. Fireworks in the 1st quarter on Dooley Field at Sanford Stadium. Dogs on top, 12-3 over the Kent State Golden Flashes on a beautiful Saturday in Athens.
We made USAA Renters Insurance for the stuff you love. Because if it's worth lugging up 5 floors, it's worth protecting for as low as 33 cents a day. It's that simple. USAA. What you're made of, we're made for. USAA.
It's already 93 billion light years across, and it's still expanding. Sure makes you feel small, doesn't it?
I still feel pretty big.
I still feel pretty big.
Athens, Georgia, as beautiful as you will ever see for a college football Saturday. Temperatures in the 50s this morning. It truly felt like football. Ladd McConkey is only standing 20 yards away from where this ball is being snapped. I think in preparation for Josh Smith's Australian-style punt. Now he'll back up. And that one was partially blocked. And it'll take a friendly Kent State bounce down to the 41-yard line, but Nolan Smith got a piece of that.
He had a free run at it, that's for sure. I mean, that's twice now that you've had a punt return member unaccounted for in the scheme. Nobody's even looking to block Nolan Smith. He should have taken that one cleanly. See, he was really disappointed that he didn't, only nicked that football. Like those outside linebacker, defensive end types spend a ton of time in punt block. But a missed opportunity there regardless. Excellent starting field position for the Georgia offense.
Bennett 6 of 11, 51 yards passing and an interception in the first quarter. We'll go to the ground with Milton to start the second, and Kendall fighting for extra yardage. Kirby Smart has said repeatedly he wants to see some strain in the run game. He got it right there.
Yeah, Milton did a great job. Nice leg drive because he was hit cleanly right in the hole. He just kept his legs churning. Right there, not a ton of room, missed tackle. Missed opportunity for Kent State. Really, you got a free hitter blowing up in there and a running back who stopped his feet.
Kent State player is injured on the field. We'll tell you who that is coming up in just a moment.
Your father knows about saving money. Everything I'm wearing, I've had since boot camp.
And I just saved on my car insurance for driving safe with USAA.
Auto insurance that flexes with you.
Hit the fit.
That's what we're made for.
Started on a full day of college football today at 4 Eastern. Number 16 Ole Miss hosts Tulsa on SEC Network at 7:30. Second-ranked Tide takes on Vandy. Also on SEC Network, New Mexico has LSU on SEC Network Plus. Every game is on the ESPN app. A&M and Arkansas at 7 in Jerry's World tonight. Tara, who wins? Hogs, Aggies?
You know what? I think it's going to be a battle. It seems like with that series, you just never know what's going to happen, but I got to go with Arkansas. I think they're the hot team right now.
McIntosh with the catch, and he's near a first down. You agree, Stench? You going Aggies or Hogs?
Yeah, I would go with the Hogs as well. KJ Jefferson in that run game, really, my goodness, Rocket Sanders. Georgia looked like they were a little bit early. Pre-snap, that ball, that whole play, somewhat out of sync. Xavier Truss at left guard looked like he was a little bit early. Either that or Van Pram was late with the snap.
Keyshawn Gamble made the tackle, and Georgia is short. It's fourth down. Fourth and close to a foot, it looks like. Offense is staying on the field, Matt.
Yeah, Georgia didn't even hesitate. Just barely in plus territory. Keep in mind, they have reshuffled the offensive front.
See if they're trying to get Kent State to jump or if they're truly going to run a play. They are, and Bennett sticks his head in there, and it looks like he got enough.
Second effort push. Well, initially, though, there was not a surge to where he could just kind of step back and run in there. A QB sneak, it's not a super simple play, right? Quarterbacks screw this up all the time. They want to run up there almost immediately, and that second push is what got him in there. Bush push, I think is what they affectionately call it.
Notre Dame fans are still not over that controversial call. Irish have the Tar Heels on ABC today. Stetson Bennett dumps it off, and it's complete to Bowers inside the 40, but my hesitation was because of what looked like a bad block down the field. There is a flag.
Talked about trying to screen the ball to Brock Bowers. Both guards get out. Willick and Truss, and watch 73 ends up with a hold.
Number 73.
Just for a second.
The spot of the foul.
It doesn't matter. You're out there in space. You make it easy, and the defenders are going to flail their arms all over the place begging for the call. They're going to get it.
Truss has been in a battle to be the starting left guard with Devin Willock. Cedric Van Pran is the center. Warren Erickson's played a lot, and as we're saying it, Truss goes to the bench and Willock comes in.
Yeah, Willock was in for Tate Ratledge at right guard. Typically he comes in for Truss. Now he's in for Truss, and Truss gets to be with his coaches.
Dejon Edwards stands next to Bennett on a 1st and 20. Stetson throws a bullet, and it's caught right near the marker to Bowers, and Bowers is doing it all once again to pick up of 14 yards. It is a first down.
Stetson Bennett really fits this ball into a window. I mean, not between just the defenders, but also the umpire. Great job. And of course, Brock Bowers, if it's close, he's going to catch it. And the guy's doing it. See that harness? He's got a harness on his left arm. That's for his shoulder. He had a procedure in the offseason. Makes it all the more difficult from a catch radius standpoint.
McConkey looking for a block. And he fumbles the football. And it's Kent State's ball. Marvin Pierre came in there and forced the fumble. And Georgia has committed their 3rd turnover of the first half.
Ruling on the field is a fumble. Covered by the defense. First down.
Oh, yeah. Pierre strips it and recovers it.
Great job by Marvin Pierre. Got his hand right on the football. McConkey's got the ball in his outside arm. He never looked like he had his hand over the point of that ball. And because of it, boy, a rough afternoon for Ladd McConkey. A muff punt, now a fumble, and a couple of drops. 3rd takeaway now for the Golden Flashes on the afternoon.
Georgia hadn't committed one this year before today, and Schlee slings it to Dante Cephas for the first down out near the 45-yard line. A pickup of 13 yards for the junior from Pittsburgh, who now has 15 catches on the season.
I think he is an excellent receiver, and is. The numbers bear it out.
Schlee slings it out to the sideline, and this, streaking down the sideline, is Walker, who's free. And this is a touchdown for Kent State. Devontae Walker makes the catch near the line of scrimmage. It is a 56-yard touchdown.
How about this play? You flip it out, you get leverage. Poor insertion. Christopher Smith's playing inside that block. The block gets leveraged. It's almost like an outside run. Just get to the edge and run free. Christopher Smith came up. He was on the inside of the block. Take it to the outside and to the house.
An extra point by Andrew Glass makes it 12-10. You know, Herbie on College Game Day always says, I wonder about the sleepy noon kick. The Dogs look like they're not fully alert yet, and Kent State is wide awake.
You're not kidding. The Gold Flashes came to play. Takeaways, and now touchdowns for Kent State.
Your father knows about saving money. Everything I'm wearing, I've had since boot camp.
And I just saved on my car insurance for driving safe with USAA.
Auto insurance that flexes with you.
Keep the fit.
That's what we're made for.
Guys, I got a game today. I need a ride.
But it's only Saturday.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. College kid.
Who took my helmet?
Ready.
Where are my socks?
I need more club.
Have you seen my pads?
Fashion.
I'm coming, Baker.
So where are we headed this week?
Texas.
Texas. Road trip.
Sean Lewis has become the head coach. Anyone, anywhere, anytime. Look at these opponents they've played in the last 5 seasons, and specifically since this month. They've played at Washington, at Oklahoma, and at Georgia. They're not afraid of the Dogs.
No, there's no question. They're not scared to go on the road. They're not scared to play a Power 5 team. And they have more than hung with Power 5 teams this year. As we mentioned, it was this very tight score, a very narrow lead going into halftime when they were on the road versus Oklahoma.
Kearis Jackson from the 2. Breaks tackles and gets past the 30. For more on Kent State, let's go down to Tara.
Well, Kent State has a motto this year, be the alpha. It's actually kind of a funny story. It came up from head coach Sean Lewis when he was trying to train his dog. He realized that every dog thinks that they're the alpha until they're shown that they're not. So they have to know who they want to be as a player, as a team, and they came in here ready to show that they are the alpha against the Bulldogs.
There's no doubt. An apt analogy given their opponent here this afternoon. They have not backed down.
Dogs have turned it over 3 times in the first half. 2 turnovers by Ladd McConkey, an interception by Stetson Bennett. He'll go deep again. He's got McConkey, and he can't get it. Just outside his fingertips.
Georgia has repeatedly tried to stretch the field today, twice to Ladd McConkey, and with similar results. Both catchable balls, neither of which resulted in a completion. McConkey somewhat vexed. You see the trust that the coaching staff has in him. But it's been a long first half for 84.
2nd and 10 for Bennett. And he finds a soft spot in the defense to Big O, Darnell Washington for the first down. McConkey has had a sensational start to his Georgia career. 40 catches in 18 games with 6 touchdowns and 2 more rushing. But to your point, this is as miserable as he's ever felt in a college uniform in this first half.
Yeah, somewhat of a rut, there's no doubt. And it hasn't been all him, of course, but he's been party to several. That's when you see what a team has, right? You overcome adversity regardless of the source. The big conversion to Darnell Washington on that previous throw.
Big O is just a behemoth in that uniform. Kendall Milton finds a soft spot. He's inside the 20. Nico Bolton with the tackle that might have saved a touchdown. It's a pickup of 27 yards, the longest by a Georgia tailback this season.
A key distinction, right? When you think about it with Brock Bowers, great blocking. Incidentally, Bowers out in front. Ended up losing a helmet. Warren McClendon got his helmet popped off. That usually doesn't happen by itself. Regardless, he had to come out, and Amarius Mims in at right tackle.
They scored 7 touchdowns in their last 13 red zone attempts. And Milton will stay on his feet to get a yard or so to the 16-yard line. Georgia struggled in the red zone against Samford to a degree, having to kick 4 field goals that day. Milton will go out and McIntosh will come in. There's A.D. Mitchell on the sideline. He got hurt on the first play of the game 2 weeks ago in a catch he made and has not played since. Bennett, 5 choices, and the catch is made by Kearis Jackson. 1st and goal Dogs after an 11-yard pickup.
We'll talk about a guy that's solid, and that's thrown around as if it's almost like a backhanded compliment. It's not. Kearis Jackson is as solid a receiver as you're going to find in this conference. You see a guy that has seen his role diminish, but that's partly owing to the emergence of other options in the passing game. 6 different receivers now with catches on the afternoon here in the first half.
Milton behind Bennett. They toss it to him, and he gets nothing. C.J. West has had a terrific first half. And he got through Ratledge and McClendon there for the tackle.
That's exactly right. I mean, up front, able to get up front. Nice penetration. They set the edge and turn Milton back into the pursuit.
Second and goal. One of the quietest sold-out crowds you'll ever see at Sanford Stadium. This bizarre first half. That is pass interference. Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint made an outrageous catch, although he was out of bounds. DJ Miller is going to be called for PI here. Kind of like that effort, though.
Pass interference. Defense, number 5. Ball across the 2-yard line. Automatic first down.
And in come the heavy horse for Georgia. So we'll end up with at least, we'll have 3 tight end types in the game right now.
Ball never hit the ground. It hit his legs, and he goes up to the judge to say, look, I caught it. He was out of bounds, but unbelievable effort. Bowers already has 1 rushing touchdown, make it 2. This guy is a weapon in every single way. A rushing touchdown last week, 2 more today.
Number 96 is 44 now.
We talk about heavy horse. Who's in at fullback? It's Jalen Carter. So you better believe you got to bear up and expecting an inside run, and instead you end up running to the perimeter. And who's out blocking in front of Brock Bowers? Is Darnell Washington, who might as well be an offensive tackle that can run and catch.
He had a big 23-yard catch on that drive, and Georgia now leads Kent State 19-10 with 8:15 to go here in the first half.
Well, nothing fixes it like a backup touchdown. They had to get back on the right side of this momentum, and who better to do it than Brock Bowers? It's like
Turning your squad into a car wash? Weird flex. Turning your squad into a carpool so you drive less? Good flex. Auto insurance that flexes with you. That's what we're made for.
Guys, I got a game today. I need a ride.
But it's only Saturday.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. College kid.
Who took my helmet?
Ready.
Where are my socks?
I need more club.
Have you seen my pads?
Fashion.
I'm coming, Baker.
So where are we headed this week?
Texas.
Texas. Road trip.
Look at those yards so far for him. The rest of the team, 145. And no touchdowns. Brock has both of the touchdowns. Dogs also got a safety and a field goal. And Kent State will start at the 25. Shout out to the Georgia Sports Information Department. They are the very best in the business. They treat us so well every time we come here. They're running in and out of here to help us with anybody that may be changing uniforms. And we love coming here before the game. Every place feeds us. This place does it even better than most places do. I didn't go with the sriracha, though. That felt a little dangerous before the game.
It was a bold
with
choice,
the breakfast sandwich.
No, it's true. But the facilities are close by. You could have done it. But yeah, running in here, making sure we know who's who. Austin Blaskey in there as a tight end on the Brock Bowers touchdown run.
Kent State starts at the 25-yard line after they scored a touchdown, a 56-yard pass. Jamon Dumas-Johnson is in the backfield as he tackles Marcus Cooper for a loss of 1. 2nd and 11. And really, all 3 phases of Georgia's team has been challenged so far in this first half by Kent State.
You think about the defense, it was holding up pretty well under duress, right? Short field to defend. They forced negative yardage. But then they give up that big wide receiver screen for a touchdown. It's poorly leveraged by the secondary, goes to the house. Otherwise, defensively, they've executed well, save really that one play.
On 2nd and 11, swing it out to the sideline. Broken tackle by Devontae Walker. Why not run it again? They scored a touchdown on it the last time they tried it. This one picks up 9. It'll be 3rd and short.
Really nice run after the catch by Walker on that play. When you're out there, Georgia has it pretty well defended. Defenders in place. He just beats tackles.
Cooper moves the chains, getting past the 35, up near the 39. Schlee did a really good job of getting that football in his hands, too, on what was a bad snap.
A really athletic play by Schlee, and underrated in that regard. Cooper, he runs well behind his pads now. We've seen a couple of times where he has moved the pile. Not a lot of inside runs.
Schlee sidearms one to Walker, and Walker's tackled by Dumas Johnson. This guy is all over the field in the first half.
He's having a heck of a first half. Number 10 for the Georgia defense, right there in the center. And this is a quick diagnosis. You see him quickly, triggers, there's no chance. Those offensive linemen are going to come out there and try to pick him up. He's got 5 tackles. 4 of those are for negative yardage. 4 tackles for loss in the first half for Dumas Johnson.
Sophomore from Hyattsville, Maryland, who's turned into a starter. And he wants Sanford Stadium to wake up. Place is sold out for the 60th straight time. Swinging it out past the 40, past midfield. This is a first down for Kent State. And staying in bounds inside the 35 is, for Kent State, is Marquez Cooper. But there is a flag down.
Man, Marquez Cooper got a great block out in front of him on Keely Ringo.
There is no foul for personal foul face mask. First down.
27-yard catch by Cooper.
The screen game has really been good for Kent State today. Out in front, nice block. Keely Ringo's just getting pinballed around. Finally got cleaned up. Malachi Starks hanging on for dear life. And that's 107 yards after the catch of their 109 receiving yards for Kent State.
Now to the ground with Cooper, and this is another tackle for loss. Bill Norton in the backfield.
Great job by Norton. He just plays blocks. Play the block, shock and shed. And get upfield and wrap up the ball carrier. There has not been a lot of inside rushing room. There has been yards after contact by Cooper. Big negative yardage play there for the defense.
Norton, a junior from Memphis, stays on the field on this 2nd and 12.
Kent State started out with the empty backfield. Cooper now motioning back in.
Schlee steps up and tiptoes the sideline, is out at the 30. It's a pickup of 6, 3rd down.
Cooper, good thing he motioned in. He had a great blitz pickup. Just nowhere to go with this football downfield. Schlee looks up, didn't like what he had, ended up having to flush out. He wouldn't have even had that opportunity had Cooper not come in with a great blitz pickup on Smile Munden. As it is, another 3rd down. Their only conversion was that previous run.
Here's Sanford Stadium, 3rd and 6. Cooper gets inside the 30, but Bear Alexander was waiting for him.
Some young D lineman in there, Bear Alexander. Young defensive front guy they were talking about that might get some reps. And that was one of those plays on 3rd down we talked about. They didn't even hesitate. They just looked to the sideline for the play.
Timeout, Georgia.
Timeout, Georgia. They're 2nd in the half.
Kent State is giving the Georgia Bulldogs a game today.
Your father knows about saving money. Everything I'm wearing, I've had since boot camp.
And I just saved on my car insurance for driving safe with USAA.
Auto insurance that flexes with you.
Keep the fit.
That's what we're made for.
See yourself in Sevierville, Tennessee. Your Smokies start here.
4th down, and Kent State has changed their mind. They're going to elect to try to attempt a field goal. They did have the offense on the field at first. Sean Lewis might call timeout. We'll see. If this is a 46-yard attempt, no, Georgia will use another one.
Timeout. Georgia, their 3rd and final of the half. 30-second timeout.
Now that's interesting, right? And you could see Sean Lewis. He's standing right next to the line judge. He was looking like he was going to take the timeout there. You know, they had an intention to run an offensive play prior to the timeout. You come out of the timeout with your field goal unit, and there was a late substitution by Georgia when they realized the field goal unit was on. Field goal unit's still on the field for Kent State. Keep in mind, last week versus South Carolina, fake punt, caught Georgia.
Josh Smith will sit down at the 36. But now here comes the offense on a 4th and 5. It is Smith, the punter, who's under center, but he leaves. And Kent State will call timeout. Zayn West came in there to act like he was going to play quarterback, a defensive player for Kent State, trying to draw Georgia off. We've had 3 timeouts called, Stinch, since the last play was run.
You kind of think, though, that this is standard for Kent State, for them to have long snap counts, have multiple guys in there that look like they might be taking the snap, multiple shifts. So, of course, Georgia would have practiced for that element of it. The difference is that you've got your field goal block unit in there. They're all keyed up, looking like they're wanting to get into the backfield. So next thing you know, you're up there, hey, maybe we run a play, try to draw them off sides. It's only 5 yards. Now let's see if we actually get a snap and a kick with the field goal unit on the field.
Officially, this is a 45-yard attempt. Andrew Glass has already made one of those in this game. And now he's made another. We have a 1-score game with 3:39 to go in the first half.
Kent State, in their screen game, the turnovers, big plays, yards after catches have been the bane of Georgia's existence. And boy, Kent State has done a great job of capitalizing. They've striped 2 45-yard field goals and a long touchdown catch, a run after catch actually. And that's kept them in this ballgame, more than kept them in this ballgame. They're 1 possession away from a lead.
Remember, they get the second half kick, so this next possession for Georgia, important to try to increase their lead over a man that has his team prepared today. Kirby Smart's team has been dismantling opponents in the first 3 weeks against Oregon, Samford, and then South Carolina. They're in a dogfight against Kent State.
He just reset his kick return unit. I think in anticipation of a potential onside kick, they reset.
Jackson will field this one at the 4. He's ahead near the 25-yard line. Tonight, after Alabama and Vanderbilt, it's SEC football final. Dari, Chris, Benjamin, and Takio will cover all the stories of the day, give you a full breakdown of every game. It's SEC football final on SEC Network and the ESPN app. Should start around 10:30 or whenever the Tide and the Doors are done in T-Town. Again, over on ESPN, it's Arkansas and A&M at 7 Eastern in Arlington. Georgia had its best offensive drive of the game on the last series, which culminated in another Bowers touchdown. Bennett goes to the air, and this is caught by Kenny McIntosh. 6-yard completion. It was 2nd and 4, clock running. Georgia is out of timeouts. Kent State still has 2.
That's a good point, Taylor. That was one of the more methodical drives, less driven by any big plays necessarily by Georgia to get it into scoring position. Ate a good bit of that second quarter clock.
They don't want Kent State to get the ball back, and now it's dumped off to McIntosh underneath, and he's up to the 40-yard line. He has clearly been Stetson Bennett's most targeted receiver so far this year as he comes out, and Dejon Edwards comes in. He's got 5 more today.
A guy that they covet his skill set, there's no doubt, and utilize it well, lining up outside the backfield often as a targeted receiver.
And now to the ground with Edwards, who breaks tackles and picks up maybe 8 near the 48, where Antwain Richardson makes the tackle. Georgia being a bit methodical, Stinch, because again, they don't want Kent State to get the football back in this half.
And given the big plays that they've seen, right? Screen game twice when Kent State possessed the football, hurting the Georgia defense. One for a touchdown, the other with the second field goal made.
Bennett swings it out, and it's a first down grab by Dominic Blaylock, who started to come on after A.D. Mitchell went down. That's a catch in each of the last 3 games.
Moving the football around, getting it out onto the perimeter. Opportunities for guys to run after the catch quickly. This wide receiving core for Georgia, they typically do an excellent job of blocking, not only in the run game, but in the screen game.
And again, it's Edwards out of the backfield, just dinking and dunking down the field. This inside the 40 where Marvin Pierre makes the tackle, but it's 7 more.
This is something that Coach Smart talked about. You know, this defense is designed to force you from the middle towards the boundaries. And they have what's effectively a free hitter, a guy it's the 3rd safety, number 24, Nico Bolden. He's the guy that's kind of close to the box, just below linebacker depth. They want him to make a lot of plays.
Edwards is near the first down, maybe half a yard short. Marvin Pierre has played a whale of a half for Kent State. He's down there to make another tackle. Pierre, the transfer from Murray State. And timeout by Kent State. They have 1 left with 1:15 to go in the half.
Kent State, their second of the half. 30 seconds.
19:30. Over on ESPN right now, Auburn leads Missouri 14-7, and Mizzou is on the Auburn doorstep. On SEC Network, Mississippi State's blowing out Bowling Green 31-7. All the other action is in the SEC, at least, is later today. Tennessee and Florida on Rocky Top at 3:30. As you were saying in the car ride home from our game last week, Florida is an 0-3 football team with a 2-1 record.
I mean, you look at the way they were able to escape with victories in the 2 wins that they have. 2 bad snaps versus South Florida. Now, who knows how that would have turned out? Does Utah make a field goal if they don't throw a pick? Who knows?
Third and 1. And straight ahead, easy running for McIntosh to move the chains inside the 35 down to the 34. And the clock will start running. Again, Georgia, no timeouts left.
A little more urgency to the line for Georgia.
Bennett to Rosemy Jack Saint for 14 yards. Montre Miller on the tackle. Inside a minute left in the half.
I mentioned Nico Bolden, a guy that they count on for defensively to make big plays, off the field right now. Left the field with what looked like a shoulder injury.
Already, Bennett's found 9 different receivers today. This is the 10th play of the drive. Bowers, another terrific catch, just short of the end zone.
Well, the way he's able to extend, great body control, and then able to do that with that shoulder harness. I don't know that folks can appreciate, unless you've ever had to wear one of those things, just how difficult it is to get your arms up and elevate. He does it repeatedly and routinely.
It's just ridiculous. The way he runs the ball, plays the tight end position better than anyone, and that's consecutive weeks with outstanding catches. Here he is moving on a run play for McIntosh, and he tripped. He's short. Siku Diaby got in there for Kent State. The clock is down inside 30 seconds left here in the house. I know you don't see that on the screen, but it's running. It's inside 20 seconds to go, and now.
Well, there's two. What's interesting is that the two clocks that are in venue now, on the big screen, it's showing 57 seconds. And then on the opposite end of the stadium, it's it's at 14 seconds. That's what the coaches are saying, is that, look, I can't know that I have to look at one clock versus the other.
The game clock is good on the video board. Game clock is incorrect. Video board game clock is incorrect. 14 seconds remain in the first half.
Yeah, and Kirby Smart's livid, because if he knew that there was only 14 seconds, he would have snapped the ball by now. And the clock should start on the whistle. It does, and now Bennett will take off, and there's a flag down as he dives for the end zone, short with 8 seconds left.
We made USAA Renters Insurance for the stuff you love. Because if it's worth lugging up 5 floors, it's worth protecting for as low as 33 cents a day. It's that simple. USAA. What you're made of, we're made for.
Academy Sports and Outdoors is the home for all your baseball and softball needs. With the top brands in gloves, including Rawlings and Wilson, and the best bats in the game, from Louisville Slugger, Marucci, and more. We've got what you need in here to have fun out there. It's time to get back on the field and kickstart your best season yet. All your gear is at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Then on the next play, McIntosh, of course, tripped.
The play is a touchdown.
They call this a touchdown. They give Bennett the end zone.
Defense, number 23. That penalty is declined.
So that means Bennett's arm did get to the goal line. The last couple of plays, totally out of sorts. Let's see if Stinch, if he got in. All you have to do is get it across that white line, and with that judge looking straight down the line, he had the best view of it.
Had a very similar cut last week versus South Carolina, and was able to find the end zone, this time extending the ball with one hand
You would think that John Bible, the replay official, would take a good look at this.
The ruling on the field of a touchdown is under video review.
The strangest thing about this, Stench, and we've had all sorts of timing issues in the last minute, but both of the officials on the field never ruled touchdown in the moment. Then they converged afterwards and decided it was a touchdown.
Of course, it's a line to gain, so the booth can initiate this review and are. On the big screen here in the stadium, they're showing this about 50 different ways.
Well, here's your angle. It's half a frame in front of that. Now you got to look between the defender's legs. I don't know that you have enough evidence there. Doesn't look like any body part is on the ground. Don't know how you would overturn that.
And it's the front edge of that line, and the edge of that line. Doesn't have to get all the way in, just break the front edge of the plane. It does look as if he's in there. I wonder how big are Stetson Bennett's hands?
After video review, the ruling on the field of a touchdown stands.
Not confirmed, but stands. Actually, it was a delayed ruling. Never even saw the hands go up until after the officials' conference. Of course, they had to run about, I'm gonna say 85 yards for that replay review. Opposite end of the field to get under the hood to see that play.
Stetson Bennett does it all, doesn't he? He's been the holder for this team the last few years. Another rushing touchdown, his fourth of the season. Effort has been tremendous. Even when his passing numbers overall haven't been his best. But on that drive, he was sensational. 6 of 6 passing for 59 yards and a rushing touchdown on an 11-play, 72-yard drive. And the whole goal was try to run the clock down as low as you can. There's only 8 seconds left.
They did it. I don't know how intentional it was to get it quite that low. Obviously, the coaching staff was looking at the scoreboard clock. The clock had stopped on the scoreboard, but after Kenny McIntosh's run to the middle of the line of scrimmage was short, the clock continued to run on the opposite end of the field. Officials said, hey, look, it's a live ball. Clock's going to continue to run down. Lost a lot of time. Georgia really easily could have run out of time there on that possession.
Kent State will get the football to start the second half. Marquez Cooper's coming out. And he gets drilled at the 16-yard line with 2 seconds to go in the half. Keely Ringo says hello.
Pretty big shot. Cooper did a good job of staying alive until he ran into big number 5. It's one of the bigger corners you're going to find in all of college football.
Plenty of plays in the national championship game to choose from. That's as memorable of a play in a Georgia uniform as anyone's ever made with that pick 6 that he had in that national championship. Kent State has come to fight. They're down 26-13 to Georgia at the half. They will get the football first. They forced 3 Georgia turnovers in that half. Georgia did have 328 total yards. Balanced attack. Brock Bowers with 2 more touchdown runs. Stetson Bennett also with a rushing touchdown. And Kirby Smart is with Tara now.
Coach, you extend the lead there at the end of the second, but some miscues early on with your team. What corrections do you want to see in the second half?
Well, we haven't punted yet, and we've got 3 turnovers. And when you turn the ball over 3 times and you don't get any, it's not a good recipe. So it's not that we got to change how we're calling the game or what we're doing. We got to protect the ball a little better.
Over 95% of Kent State's receiving yards right now are after the catch. How do you become more aggressive defensively?
Well, we got to tackle. It's not that they're throwing it over our heads. They caught and ran with it, and we got to tackle a little better and do a good job. We'll get some things fixed.
All right, Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up at halftime, you can watch the live performance of the Redcoat Marching Band on SEC Network Plus here on the ESPN app. And here they are ready to get on the field during halftime. Georgia's up 26-13 on Kent State. The biggest challenge the #1 team in the nation has faced to date. Second half coming up in a bit.
Turning your squad into a car wash? Weird flex. Turning your squad into a carpool so you drive less? Good flex. Auto insurance that flexes with you. That's what we're made for.
It's already 93 billion light years across, and it's still expanding. Sure makes you feel small, doesn't it?
I still feel pretty big.
I still feel pretty big.
SEC Halftime Report. Good to have you with us. There are some big-time rivalry games as we welcome you in, Dari, Doring, and Takio. Games that have become rivalries over time. You don't always have to wait till the end of the season to see them. A couple of cases in point. What's happening later in Knoxville, Tennessee, as Tennessee hosts Florida. They have not beaten Florida since 2016, the last time College Game Day was there. You know that's where Game Day is. Of course, today.
Why would you bring that up?
I don't know. 1995. Well, were you part of this game? You were, right?
Certainly they have to show one of my touchdowns in this game.
Right?
You would think our guys cut it. They want to give some love to one of the guys here on set.
Danny Werfel threw 6 touchdown passes. None of them to you, apparently? Is that right?
He threw one to me, but it was late in the game. It was we were beating him pretty
62-37. Yeah. 3 years later, Tennessee snapped a 5-game skid to the Gators. First game in the post-Peyton Manning era.
I was here for this one here, too. I got cut by Takio's Bengals. I drove down 75. I was in attendance there. We missed an extra point in overtime.
Really?
They hit it, or a field goal attempt in overtime. Yeah. I was part of that. I'm on the sideline getting crushed by all the Tennessee fans.
Is that right?
100%.
All right, how about 2000? What's your story for that one?
That was a catch, and even if it wasn't a catch, it was early in the down sequence. Florida still had a couple more downs and 30 seconds left on the clock, so they would have inevitably scored, obviously.
Duh. Right. Florida wins again, 27-23. There were a lot of boos in the crowd, as you might have
imagine. Jabbar Gaffney.
That's right. 2017, what do you have a good story here? We were watching this together right here, yeah. Indeed. Don't call it a Hail Mary.
No, that's a post route.
That's right. But a lot of people call it a Hail Mary. 63 yards, Tyree Cleveland from Felipe Franks, future Hog. Train right open, Big Ben in. That's what this says. It was the same play 2 years ago. No, it was 2 years before. But anyway, the point being here, Florida's won, 16 of the last 17.
Yeah.
And again, 2016 was the last time it happened. Florida, a chunky dog here.
Do you remember I gave the obituary for this series last year? Remember on television on Friday night, I talked about how great it used to be and how back and forth it was because it was a rivalry game, and rivalry games require each side winning in order for it to be important. And right now, Takio, I would say amongst Florida fans, Tennessee's probably the 4th or 5th biggest rival. Well, Tennessee has a chance to change that, and they're on an upward trajectory. But an upward trajectory to be a legitimate contender requires that you beat your rivals. They haven't beaten Alabama in forever, and they haven't beaten Florida often in the last 17 years. Now is the opportunity to do it, and they can do it by putting an exclamation point on it. I don't think Florida can score with Tennessee. I believe the Gators lose this game and lose it handily.
I agree with you. Even looking at from the defensive side, when you look at Florida, Ventrell Miller, nobody knows if he's going to play. And I think this is very important. Why? Because there is no way that you can go out in a line and play great defense if you don't even know where you're supposed to be and where you're supposed to fit. And that's what I saw last week when you saw Florida play. A bunch of guys out there not sure what they were going to do and very hesitant with their reactions.
You got a lot of freshmen having to play behind Ventrell Miller. And you talk about having to line up. How about doing it when the tempo's going fast, right?
speed.
That's going to be a hard thing to do without Ventrell Miller. You missed the production, but more so the communication.
If you're Florida, so I suspect there are two reasons you want to run the heck out of the ball. One, because it's what you do best. Two, it's because you can extend drives and keep Josh Heupel's offense off the field, right?
No question.
Can they effectively run the ball against this Tennessee defense from what you've seen?
I believe that they can. I believe that Florida's offensive line and the running back room is the strength of this team. And they've been able to have a pretty significant push this year. I think that they can do that and then play action pass when they're least expecting it. First down, sell him on the run, get AR outside, and let him do what he does, which is make plays in space instead of asking him to stand in the pocket and throw the football.
I think this is the perfect game to be able to have AR certified dial-in runs so he can be able to create some momentum going around the outside. Only one design quarterback run when I went back and watched the game when they played against Kentucky. So this is the game to where you can throw something out there that Tennessee have not even seen, and they will have to be able to adjust on the sideline.
All right, so that's one rivalry game. How about another one that has certainly become a fun rivalry with some phenomenal games? Arkansas and Texas A&M. 2011, A&M blows an 18-point halftime lead. Earlier that week, they announced they were joining the SEC. Yeah, exactly. Broderick Green charges into the end zone on the final score of the game, and, well, you could see Arkansas fans saying, welcome to the SEC. Because until that, Arkansas was one of the two newest members in that league. 2014, AT&T Stadium, the site. We now know it to be that for the most part. Arkansas blew a 14-point lead in the fourth, lost in overtime.
Look at Kenny Trail Hill.
Trail Hill. Kevin Sumlin? 2015, the very next year. Same story. A&M erases an 8-point deficit and beats Arkansas in overtime. Christian Kirk, 8 catches, 173, and 2 touchdowns. Arkansas, in fact, had lost 9 in a row in this series until last season when the Razorbacks finally got the better of the Aggies. Now, this is a tight game. Vegas tells us it will be. It appears like it would be. A&M can't throw the ball that well. Arkansas can't defend it that well, but they each have other strengths. What determines who wins this game, Takeo?
I think what Barry Odom's once he go inside of the kitchen, what is he going to cook up that will allow Arkansas defense to not only play well up front, which they already do, leads the nation in sacks, but on the defensive back end, they're really not that far off. Like, I know they are last in the country as far as passing yards allowed, but the problem I'm seeing is guys don't understand the little details. When you have 6 men blitzing, you have to understand, if I can't break that ball up, you have to make the tackle and line up for another down, and that's where they're failing, allowing chunk yards to be able to come off of pass plays, and then it turns into touchdowns.
Yeah, you know, Takeo, when I look at Texas A&M, even though they won that game against Miami last week, it was not impressive. The defense got better, but I look at the offense and the offensive line specifically. Everything right now that ails Texas A&M's offense starts with the guys up front. And it's not one guy. It's a conglomeration of different guys making mistakes at the wrong time, which contributes to a lack of rhythm on offense. So what they've got to do is they've got to be better in pass protection. They've got to get rid of those mistakes that have been haunting them. And they got to get back to running the football. Running the football is what they do. Devon Achane's got to get more touches. The offensive line has to give him that opportunity, Dory.
You're A&M, rather Arkansas. You know, Rocket Sanders has been the guy, right? He generates almost a third or almost more than a third of your offensive yards. How much do you utilize him versus going to the pass with what is becoming a bit more of established and deep receiving corps?
No, you utilize him greatly, because when you look at the last 2 games that Texas A&M has played defensively, they're giving up 178 yards per game rushing. So why not use Rocket Sanders? Right? So Arkansas, you used him and used the run and continue just to lean on
that's who they are.
A.J. Jefferson, because that's their identity.
Yeah. Good stuff. You'll get the 3 of us, plus Ben Watson, later in the night when we're done with our nightcap, Vanderbilt at Alabama.
Possession game with 8 seconds to go in the half before Stetson Bennett did that. And Georgia leads 26-13 over Kent State at the half. With Matt Stinchcomb, I'm Taylor Zarzer. Tara Talmadge on the field for the first time this season. Georgia has faced adversity in every phase of the game.
You know, something that the coaches have been talking about. We really haven't been in challenging scenarios. Well, there have been more than a few here today, and largely due to Georgia miscues, a couple explosive plays from Kent State.
You know, the one thing that hasn't changed, no one can stop Brock Bowers.
That's right. I mean, we talked about him at the top of the show. This is a guy that can do a little bit of everything. Second play of the game, they hand it off to their tight end, who takes it for the longest run of the season for any Georgia player. Then, of course, he takes it again on an end around to the end zone. 2 touchdowns on the ground for Brock Bowers. And, of course, he's been catching the football as well. Right now, the leading rusher and the leading receiver as far as yards for the University of Georgia Bulldogs. It's the Brock Bowers show in a lot of ways.
Georgia overcoming 3 turnovers to have that 13-point lead. They have possessed the football for over 18 minutes in the first half, but as we said, there have been miscues in every phase.
You know, early on, Stetson Bennett loading up, looking to push the ball downfield. Rosemary Jack-Saint doesn't bend that route. The ball's a little bit underthrown. Dylan Bell, the true freshman, drops one. Lad McConkey also drops one. You're talking about 3 potential touchdowns, 1 certainty. Then nowhere to go with the football. You take a sack, forces a field goal attempt. It's largely been self-inflicted wounds by Georgia in the first half. Credit Kent State. They've done a great job of capitalizing when they can and generating a couple of big plays, specifically in the passing game. Yards after the catch have been huge, but you see the muff punt and the special teams. It's been an interesting first half, to say the least, and it's been fueled by turnovers by the #1 team in the country.
Gave up a 56-yard pass play, too, in the first half.
Defensively, and Kirby Smart talked about it, you got to tackle better on some of these perimeter throws. Those are easy runs after catch when you don't.
We're just getting started on a full day of college football. Later today at 4 Eastern, number 16 Ole Miss takes on Tulsa, and then Alabama plays Vanderbilt at 7:30. Both games on SEC Network and available here on the ESPN app.
We made USAA Renters Insurance for the stuff you love. Because if it's worth lugging up 5 floors, it's worth protecting for as low as 33 cents a day. It's that simple. USAA. What you're made of, we're made for. USAA.
It's already 93 billion light years across, and it's still expanding. Sure makes you feel small, doesn't it?
I still feel pretty big.
I still feel pretty big.
Ashford.
Your father knows about saving money. Everything I'm wearing, I've had since boot camp.
And I just saved on my car insurance for driving safe with USAA.
Auto insurance that flexes with you.
Hit the fit.
That's what we're made for.
Devontae Walker, touchdown catch, I should say, from 56 yards out. Sean Lewis's team has come ready to play today. Georgia had only given up 10 points in the first 3 games of the season. Kent State scores 13 in the first half today. And Tara Talmadge just talked to Coach Lewis a moment ago.
Yeah, Coach Lewis was saying that halftime was a pretty exciting time in there for Kent State. They still are very much in this game, and they feel that way as well. They know that Georgia is giving them opportunities. All they have to do is keep taking advantage of it, create more turnovers, and keep pushing, and see how this game turns out.
I think everybody watching this has been impressed by Kent State today. Creating 3 more turnovers in this game. Only had scored 3 points off of those turnovers in the first 3 games of the season. Kirby Smart's team facing some adversity for the first time in 2022, and they will kick it to Kent State to start the half. Cooper from the 3. And he is drilled at the 17-yard line by M.J. Sherman.
So now looking back at Kent State's successes offensively, there weren't a ton of them. They finally ran for a first down on 3rd, largely really seeking to pass the football on 3rd down, somewhat uncharacteristic of this offense. But the big plays, we talk about the run after the catch, a lot of now passes, not downfield where they're getting beaten and challenging Georgia to tackle in space.
Colin Schlee, big quarterback that throws the sidearm passes, completes another one to Dante Cephas. This goes for 7 yards.
It was an interesting conversation with Sean Lewis about Colin Schlee, and they were saying the guy's just he's a really good athlete, and he can get it to really good receivers like Cephas, a guy who can, as this season unfolds, put up some big numbers in the MAC.
Schlee is 8 of 10 passing, make it 8 of 11. As he was looking for Cephas, but Malachi Starks, the top high school prospect in the country last year, stepped in front of that one. Of course, he already has a couple interceptions on the season.
This ball comes out pretty quickly, but again, Schlee, it looked like Dumas Johnson might have nicked that pass, certainly blocked the path.
Kent State's 1 of 6 on 3rd down. Schlee's running for his life, throws against his body, and it's into the Kent State bench. Nazir Stackhouse was in the backfield, 4th down.
As we pointed out, this defense has not struggled very much versus Kent State other than the 2 big plays. Colin Schlee and company on offense, they have had a hard time on 3rd downs, especially. 4 different times today where they've gone 3 and out offensively.
Ladd McConkey muffed a punt and had a fumble on offense in the first half. McConkey will call for the fair catch at his own 31-yard line.
You can hear kind of a mocking applause from the home crowd to Ladd McConkey fielding that punt cleanly.
Here's what the 2 quarterbacks did in the first half. Bennett's had an outstanding season, completing 73% of his passes coming in. You could argue really before that last touchdown drive, that was the most pedestrian we've seen Bennett play so far this season.
Yes, there's no doubt, and easily those numbers could be eye-poppingly great. You think about 3 drops, really. Two of those at least were downfield. 1 was a certain touchdown.
He's had 8 straight completions, getting it going in the second quarter, and McIntosh breaks tackles and gets up to the 40-yard line. It's a 9-yard gain. Here is McConkey. Even Kent State players dapping him up after the play.
You might want to be careful now. You don't want that guy to start feeling comfortable again. He's proven to be a really good playmaker. Brian McClendon, head coach Kirby Smart over there, talking up one of their most trusted players offensively and in special teams.
And Kirby's gone on and on about how you coach each player differently, knowing how you can communicate with each. He's got a great relationship with McConkey as McIntosh runs for a first down to the 45-yard line. After winning a national championship last year, he doesn't want anyone on this team to get comfortable, and said that he has to communicate with each individually, keep the standard the same, and that's why they've gotten off to such a hot start. Number 1 in the country, passing Alabama and Ohio State in the polls the past few weeks. Dogs are already over their season average for rushing yards with 169 today. Bennett throws to McConkey, and he makes a great grab. Just like you said, Stitch, don't warm him up.
This guy's a playmaker. Those first 2 quarters, it was anomalous for Ladd McConkey. He might have gotten away with a shove. And by might have, I mean certainly. He's going to make sure he had a clean look at that ball, whether he had to do offensive PI or not. Surprised a flag did not come out.
It's a 20-yard completion. Dejon Edwards goes to the ground with a burst of speed, breaking tackles, and he's downed inside the 20-yard line.
This is something Georgia's doing more and more of. Start pulling tackles, pulling guards. This time Xavier Truss coming across the ball. It's a counter tray almost, counter O if you want to call it that. Brock Bowers, you have two pullers that you add to the play side. So you're adding gaps over there, and it's hard for defenders to fill them.
Edwards will get inside the 20 down to the 16-yard line. Milton and Edwards are juniors. McIntosh is a senior. Savon Clark, the fourth-string Georgia tailback, is also a junior. A tremendous amount of experience in the Georgia backfield this year. We do have a true freshman, Branson Robinson, who has emerged as an option as well.
The big physical back coming out of the Georgia backfield. Dejon Edwards is the guy that's gotten way more touches this year.
Here's another one. It goes down to the 14-yard line where C.J. West makes the tackle. They have put more of an emphasis in the passing game, but if you're an old school coach like Kirby Smart, who's been around the game as long as he has, you want to see some strain in the running game. You have to have that option, right, to be able to finish the game running the football.
When you get down in the red zone, the field condenses, short yardage scenarios. Really balanced today, though. 25 passes, 26 rushes with that last attempt.
This is a 3rd and 5. Bennett, one-on-one ball, but it's over Rosemy Jack Saint's head. 4th down. Bennett had completed 10 straight before that one.
Targeted Rosemy Jack Saint a couple of times today. And that ball was out in front and overthrown.
96 is now
last time he targeted number 1, ended up being an interception going the other direction.
Well, Jack Podlesny once again will come onto the field. This is a 32-yard attempt. And he makes the score 29-13 with 10:41 to go in the third quarter. Georgia's lead was 6, now it's 16.
We made USAA Renters Insurance for the stuff you love. Because if it's worth lugging up 5 floors, it's worth protecting for as low as 33 cents a day. It's that simple. USAA. What you're made of, we're made for. USAA.
We all love an excuse to wear something new. But why buy a dress you'll only wear once? Rent designer styles for up to 90% off retail. With Rent the Runway, you can wear it all without buying a thing. Drama for that wedding, satin for that party, florals for that weekend away, with the free backup size for the perfect fit. Dry cleaned and delivered to your door. So if you want it, rent it. With thousands of looks from designers you love, you can buy nothing and wear it all. Start renting from $30 at renttherunway.com.
Greatest college football towns, really college towns in the country. And if you want the staples, throwback, old school lunch counter, you go to Ad Drug Store. Right here in town, all kinds of grub, man. These are the staples. This is what you go for. This is literally the meat and potatoes. If you want it fried up, grilled up, lots of butter, lots of fries. Look at the happy customers. I'm one of them. Go in there. You always leave happy.
Love the old school spots like that.
Oh, man. Hand spun milkshakes, just the whole nine. And they got it figured out. It's been there forever.
2 weeks ago, you sent us to Last Resort. We had a great time there.
Yeah, got both ends of the spectrum covered now, Taylor.
You got the dinner covered. Now you got the lunch covered as well.
Yeah, no linen tablecloths there in that drugstore. Just awesome lunch counter stools, pimento cheese, everything.
Sign me up.
Sean Lewis, I bet he could pack away some food over at Ad Drugs. That's a big dude. We saw him down there on the field pregame.
Played tight end for the Wisconsin Badgers 15 years ago. And Mark out of the backfield There's a catch made past the 35 up to the 36. Devontae Walker lined up in 3 different spots before that play started. He comes across the field to make the 11-yard catch from Schlee. The yards after the catch have been big today, and the yards after the contact have worked too, as Cooper runs almost to the 50-yard line up near the 49 for another first down.
That was a nice run, maybe the best run of the day for Cooper, right up the gut of the Georgia defense.
Schlee going quickly, and a nice catch made right near the marker. This Devontae Walker, the 10-yard reception. Sophomore from Charlotte, North Carolina, has been sensational today.
Had a big day already, obviously, and is picking up where he left off in the first half here in the second.
And back to the ground with Cooper. He's tackled inside the 35 to the 33, where Christopher Smith makes the tackle. I haven't called his name much today. He's a terrific, complete student athlete and a joy to talk to on Fridays before the games. Second down and 2, and Cooper hits the hole hard right at the chain where Javon Bullard makes the tackle.
I've said it before, I know, is Javon Bullard one of the more undersized defenders for Georgia coming up and making that play. A COVID year recruit, a guy that proved himself to the staff here with his off-field work during that time, and you can hear the crowd coming alive now here on a third down. They've only had 5.1 to go on third. They've done a good job on first and second.
Cooper looks like it's enough.
They've rushed for a couple of thirds, and Cooper's been a physical runner. We talk about Dante Cephas, and I think he'll put up his numbers as this season continues. But Cooper, not only as a receiver, a physical runner.
Schlee back to the air, throws to the sideline to Cooper, and Cooper gets a first down. Just get it into these athletes' hands. Smile Munden makes the tackle, but not before they move the chains again.
Got the Dogs defense on their heels. Great job blocking out wide. Just turn it into long handoffs, get it outside.
Kent State just had 4 first downs in the first half. They've had 5 on this drive. Ryan Bradford to the 15. It's the first red zone trip that Kent State has made today. The long touchdown pass for 56 yards. And they kicked 2 long field goals. This the 10th play of the drive. Fake to Bradford, and a first down ball inside the 5 goes to Walker.
Walker having the career day that we were talking about, and now you can see as it unfolds in front of us, he and Colin Schlee very much in sync. 7 catches, 106 yards now for Walker.
First and goal on the Georgia doorstep for Kent State. Sean Lewis wants to call timeout.
He came sprinting in from the 20-yard line to make sure he got that call.
Timeout. Kent State,
his team
their first of the half.
is fighting Georgia tooth and nail today.
Turning your squad into a car wash? Weird flex. Turning your squad into a carpool so you drive less? Good flex. Auto insurance that flexes with you. That's what we're made for.
A Cadillac is more than a statement. It's a celebration of self-expression and a declaration of your independence. So choose to be bold and choose to be exactly who you are. Get 2.99% APR for 60 months plus $500 purchase allowance on the 2022 Cadillac XT4, XT5, and XT6. Visit your local Cadillac dealer today.
Your father knows about saving money. Everything I'm wearing, I've had since boot camp.
And I just saved on my car insurance for driving safe with USAA.
Auto insurance that flexes with you.
Hit the fit.
That's what we're made for.
On an urgent Fansville by Dr. Pepper.
Hurry! It's almost kickoff. I am. Oh, they logged me out! What's the password?
Okay, it's P23XR ampersand.
Dude, the caps lock is on! Ah! How much time we got?
I missed basic cable. Here we go.
We're almost there. We're almost there. Oh no, I got the spinning wheel.
Fanstown by Dr. Pepper.
This commercial. Game hasn't started. They play these too much.
Dr. Pepper, the one fans deserve.
On a 10-play, 73-yard drive here at Sanford Stadium on a gorgeous Saturday. They have first and goal at the Georgia 3. What do you like here, Stitch, if you're Sean Lewis and the Golden Flashes?
Well, I think what they're going to do is try to run it right in the middle. See what they've got, these two receivers stacked all the way outside of the numbers. Pull those defenders, and then your overhang defenders pulled out of the box as well. A chance to try to punch it in.
Schlee to Cooper. And he's down to the 1.
A chance to be tackled in the backfield. Nazir Stackhouse did a great job of splitting a double team. Just couldn't get the tackle. And Cooper, all game, he's done a good job. There hasn't always been room, but when there has been, he's picked up yards. And when there hadn't been, he's picked up yards.
Again, it's Cooper, and he's met outside the 1. 3rd and goal. Tresman Marshall was there.
Tresman Marshall's a guy that the coaches have been saying, we got to get him in the game more. It's a heck of a play, playing the block, keeping his outside hand free, and then getting behind his pads. Running back's got about an 8-yard running start, and you're playing a block.
Third and goal at the 1. And there was movement. They were confused with the snap.
I wonder, Taylor, if they were late with the snap. I don't know if they were going to try to do a direct snap. You got a different.
False start.
Looks like offense, Bradford was in there.
Players. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
It was Bradford that was lined up at quarterback. Of course, who knows if he would have taken the snap.
That's a good point. He and Cooper, you see them both back there. I don't know if they were going to shift, but they both moved at the same time. I think he was going to signal for it regardless. Straight back there now.
Schlee keeps it himself. Thought about throwing, and he's tackled out of bounds by Javon Bullard. Tresman Marshall also there.
Got to be frustrated if you're Kent State. Obviously pleased with the drive because they were able to hammer their way down the field only to have a procedure penalty undo what was an opportunity to punch it in for a score.
Instead, a 3rd field goal try. This one from 22 yards for Andrew Glass, who's made a couple 45-yarders. And it's right through there again. New score, 29-16, Georgia. With 5:12 to go in the 3rd quarter, Sean Lewis's team fighting Georgia better than anyone else. Kent State had a defensive back in the early 1970s named Nick Saban. And then he was a graduate assistant at Kent State and a linebackers coach as well in the mid-1970s. Who would know? that he would go on to change college football, maybe more than any other head coach ever has, with 7 national championships. Georgia prevented him from getting an 8th last year. Yeah, that sky kick is caught by an up back, I believe. Yep, that's going to be Nolan Smith. Now, that's not the only famous alum from Kent State. In fact, right now, there's a couple of members of the Golden Flash alumni that played for the golf team that are playing in the President's Cup. Taylor Pendrith and Corey Connors. They got a tall order against Kevin Kisner in the American squad. Stetson Bennett slings it out to Ladd McConkey, and McConkey stays on his feet inside the 40-yard line. That's a pickup of 21.
What did that Nick Saban guy end up doing? Is that kind of a where are they now?
Yeah, he's done quite well for himself. But again,
dealerships or
he's got a few of those.
Okay.
Restaurants too that we sampled last week. By the way, the American side is beating the international team 10-4. Pendrith currently losing his match, and Corey Connors lost his this morning, and Kevin Kisner one down in his match at the moment. I promise you he's asking people in the gallery what the score is in this game. Here is McIntosh. Stays on his feet, strains for more yardage, and gets to the 30.
A heck of a run by Kenny McIntosh. Nice finish, too, by Broderick Jones, all the way from his left tackle position to come over there and help his running back finish his run. Bush push from about 7 yards downfield.
It's a pickup of 8 yards. McIntosh goes out. He has 31 yards rushing today. Milton comes in. Bennett fakes to him, throws behind Darnell Washington, who makes the catch at the 15-yard line. Get that big man the football.
Darnell Washington was looking over his inside shoulder for that ball as he hustles to get to the other end as Georgia's going fast.
His 7th catch of the season was a dandy, and now it's Milton patiently with a flag down. Gets inside the 6.
Personal foul, hands to the face, offense, number 70, 15-yard penalty, first down.
That's right tackle Warren McClendon. Some irony there because his helmet popped off in the first half. So he had his hand a little too high. Yeah, you can see it. Although I will say that happens. You know, it oftentimes gets called on the offense. I am heavily biased when it comes to calls like that.
Pushes Georgia back to the 30-yard line where it's now 1st and 25. They have to get to the 5 to move the chains. Milton will pick up a couple. Stinch, what's your assessment of the offensive line today?
Well, they've done a relatively good job. There's been some leaks, though. There's no doubt. We've seen some times where Kent State, and you can credit their defensive line play, not only the movement, not only confusing protection, ended up leading to a Georgia field goal, but they've done a relatively good job. They've done some interesting concepts, ones that we've seen in previous games as far as pulling is concerned.
Bennett on 2nd and 22. Time to throw, and completes it to the original line of scrimmage to Rosemy Jack Saint. It'll be 3rd and 10 from the 15.
That time, Kent State only rushed 3, but they had a spy for Stetson Bennett. Not sure that ball did get tipped at the line of scrimmage. Haven't seen a lot of that this season either. Tipped balls at the line of scrimmage.
Dogs back in the red zone. Bennett, clean pocket, into the hands of Bowers. No call made as Antwain Richardson was right with him.
Don't see that very often. Brock Bowers gets his hands on a ball. And there's no question that
96 is 44 for
Richardson was draped all over him. We've seen a couple of calls, though. You know, Lab McConkey with a push-off earlier. Flag didn't come out.
Well, Jack Podlesny has a chance once again to become the most accurate kicker in Georgia history and pass Rodrigo Blankenship. He did it a couple of weeks ago against Samford, but then he missed a field goal. This gets him back in front of Hot Rod, and it's good from 32 yards out. 82.6% to Rodrigo's 82.5. Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, Spencer Hall and Richard Johnson host Thinking Out Loud. They'll review the entire football weekend and look ahead to the big topics for the coming week. It's right here on SEC Network and the ESPN app. Stench, Mizzou and Auburn go to the fourth quarter tied at 14.
How about that now? You got Mizzou on the road, but versus an Auburn team that is reeling, continues to reel. No TJ Finley after he took a beating at the hands of the Penn State defense, an offensive line that has really struggled this year. Easy to do that in conference game. Really battling. Tigers versus Tigers.
That's right. Flipping around here on the ESPN app, checking some scores. Wake leads Clemson 28-20 in the third quarter.
How about that? I got to tell you, in Clemson, you think back to the opening game versus Georgia Tech, who is struggling mightily this year. That was a ball game well into the second half in the opening stanza of the season.
32-16, Georgia has doubled up Kent State with 1:44 to go in the third quarter. And if you've been flipping around today and you see this score and you say, Georgia was more than a 40-point favorite in the game. How has this happened? Part of the reason why is what you said at the beginning of the broadcast, Stinch. Kent State's entire formula is so different than anything Georgia has seen.
Yeah, and defensively, you know, Nico Bolden hadn't been out there here in the second half, and he's the guy that's really kind of keyed their defense as that third safety on the field. A lot of this has been self-inflicted on Georgia's part.
And Cooper continues to run hard. So he got up to the 32-yard line for 7 more yards. He has 54 yards rushing on the day.
Back-to-back, that last possession for Kent State offensively. Moved the ball right down the field. Cooper sparking that drive, not only as a runner, but as a receiver.
Schlee has it deflected. Hit his Bear Alexander. Freshman from Denton, Texas, getting a tremendous amount of playing time today.
You know, not much of Jalen Carter today. You know, we saw him early in the first half. Part of it's because of the third down strategy. Part of it's been the third downs, frankly, that Kent State's been able to generate. They came in averaging 7.7 to go on third downs. They've been way ahead of schedule all game long.
It's Bear Alexander and Nazir Stackhouse that are the interior defensive linemen on this 3rd and 3. And it's Schlee keeping it himself, and he gets right near the chain, might be half a yard shy as Smile Munden delivered another lick.
Schlee took a big shot at the end of that run. He was trying to kind of dance his way through there. Not to say that this game is in hand, it's not. But you have to know also on the other sideline, if you're Kent State, you don't want your quarterback, who is key to your season, taking too many shots like that one.
You always play to win, but it's a great point, Stinch, because they have 8 conference games coming up next. And as competitive as they've been against the #1 team in the country, should give you all kinds of confidence. But this is a fake, and it's converted the second straight week. Georgia's given up a first down on a fake punt. Zayn West makes the catch. First down, Kent State.
really well executed. We saw it last week from South Carolina. Nobody accounts for him, just leaks out. He's in the protection. Next thing you know, he's out in the route. What they were probably concerned with on the would-be field goal attempt. See Kirby Smart visiting with Dan Jackson.
He has a lot to say to his dogs as we go to the fourth quarter. Kent State on Georgia's side of the field, down 16. Camps team has faced its most adversity of the season, only giving up 10 points in the first 3 games and 1 touchdown. 16 points given up today. And Kent State's done it in every way imaginable, Stinch. They've created turnovers in the special teams. They've scored long touchdowns on offense, created turnovers on defense, and they just converted a fake punt. And now Marquez Cooper gashes Georgia down to their 30-yard line.
Right up the middle. Once again, great blocking up front. Jamin Dumas-Johnson committed to the opposite A-gap. Great pickup up front.
Pickup of 22. Schlee slings it inside the 15 to the 14 where Dante Cephas makes the grab for 6 more.
Well, this is on the heels of Colin Schlee getting rocked on a 3rd down attempt. Tried to keep it and run it. Instead, you run a fake punt and you're right back in the face of your opponent.
And back at him again goes Cooper, just short of a first down. Zion Logue prevented him from converting.
You see Kent State, their mentality remains aggressive. Right over the ball. This entire second half, offensively, they've enjoyed great success.
3rd and about an inch. Cooper first down and lowers his shoulder down to the 12.
It's a great bounce by Marquez Cooper. Really nice job by Marcellus Marshall at left tackle, capturing that edge. Smile London could not shed that block.
9-yard pickup for Cooper. Schlee keeps it this time, and he's down to the 8. Kent State approaching 100 yards rushing in this game against one of the more stout defenses in college football. Cooper has 88 yards himself. Tenth play. Shovel pass inside the 5, down to the 2. Chris Leach, the tight end, with his first catch of the day.
Chris Leach just kind of hid in there behind his blockers, got lost in the traffic.
1st and goal, Kent State on the doorstep. And it's Cooper to the 1.
Nice job by Dan Jackson that time, triggering quickly, coming off the edge. Made that tackle on Cooper from behind.
He has been a workhorse today with 20 carries.
Mass substitutions by Georgia. Getting a fresh defensive front in there. Kent State just substituted an extra tight end.
So the play clock gets down to 5. Cooper gets in, touchdown Kent State. Golden Flashes, Stinch, have been running right at Georgia all day.
Well, wasn't until the second half where they had any success with that. And boy, they put together back-to-back drives. You know, they attempted a field goal last time. They're going to go for 2 here. The only reason they attempted that field goal, they got a procedure penalty. Otherwise, they were right there on the doorstep of getting a previous touchdown.
And this is to make it a 1-score game with just over 12 minutes to go. Run 25 plays in their last 2 drives and scored 10 points. Schlee takes it out of Cooper's belly and he misses Leach. The score remains 32-22. Georgia with over 12 minutes left.
The Golden Flashes aren't looking to go anywhere. They just wanted to mash the gas here in the fourth quarter. Back-to-back drives, and they're able to hammer their way all the way downfield. But with the missed two-point conversion, still a two-possession game.
Turning your squad into a car wash? Weird flex. Turning your squad into a carpool so you drive less? Good flex. Auto insurance that flexes with you. That's what we're made for.
Guys, I got a game today. I need a ride.
But it's only Saturday.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. College kid.
Who took my helmet?
Ready.
Where are my socks?
I need more club.
Have you seen my pads?
Fashion.
I'm coming, Baker.
So where are we headed this week?
Texas.
Texas. Road trip.
Camp have had their hands full today, especially in the second half. As Georgia will get the ball at the 25-yard line. Georgia has given up 145 yards, and Kent State has been on the field for 25 plays, Stinch, on their last two offensive possessions.
Long, methodical drives. A 13-play drive, 70 yards, field goal. Would have been a touchdown probably were it not for a procedure penalty. Then a 12-play drive, 75 yards, touchdown. Defensively, Georgia has to regroup, and great job by Kent State coming out. And it's not necessarily an execution thing. They've been able to run the football. They made a couple of nice passes and completions. It was big plays in the first half. Not the case here in the second half.
Stetson Bennett going back to work at his own 25-yard line. Facing pressure, had to get rid of it. And Kenny McIntosh wasn't ready. That's because Caleb Johns was in the backfield.
Caleb Johns, a guy who had 0 sacks coming into this season. Coming into this game, he led their team in sacks. Very active. First 17 games of his career, he was never able to get the quarterback down. Now he's got 4 in 4 games, and now out of pressure.
Bennett dumps it off again. It's McIntosh up to the 29-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 6 for Georgia from there.
Get a pressure on first down. Great job by Johns. McIntosh wasn't ready for the check down. This time you go to a screen. Not great blocking out in front. Kent State does a great job of playing that to set up this 3rd down.
Georgia sensational on 3rd down coming in, near 60%. They're at 50% today. Bennett's got time and slings it for a first down past the 40 to the 41, where Dominic Blaylock makes his 2nd catch of the day.
Dom Blaylock, a guy who hasn't gotten a ton of targets. Got a couple of looks today, just sits down. Does a great job showing his quarterback his hands.
He clearly has become an emphasis after A.D. Mitchell went down. He didn't have a catch in his first 2 games, but since that Mitchell injury, he's got 4. That went for 13 yards, and Georgia's still not had a 3 and out today. Dejon Edwards spinning and weaving his way for 9 more into Kent State territory.
Dejon Edwards, they list him at 5'10", 200 pounds. That guy runs about 3 inches and 20 pounds heavier than that. I don't know how the physics of that work, but the effort alone makes him a bigger back.
Bowers stays on the field, but he's got a little hitch in his giddy up. Edwards doesn't. It's a first down run down to the 32.
Another explosive run. Dejon Edwards, the guy just slips through those tackles. Physical finish to that run as well.
17 more, 227 rushing yards today for Georgia. Bowers at the top of your screen, but he was laboring to get up there. They throw to him. He makes the catch down at the 26. Let's watch him get up here.
It looks like he's okay. It's funny, when he runs, he looks like he's laboring when he runs, even when he's full go get him. He didn't bounce up after that tackle, that's for sure.
He had a significant limp 2 plays ago, but has not come out. Incredibly tough-minded player from Napa, California. Going in motion. And looking for a block is Milton. A flag comes in.
Really poor blocking at the point of attack that time between Xavier Truss and Broderick Jones. Just not on the same page. You've got an unblocked defensive lineman just blowing right upfield.
Holding, defense, number 56. 10-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
But it goes against the defense. It's Maceo Williams.
You'll see that sometimes. These defenders, they want to keep the offensive lineman from being able to climb up onto the second level. Watch him hold Cedric Van Prant. He's turned his shoulders just enough. Van Prant's trying to climb up on the linebacker. He can't. He's being held by the down lineman. Unnecessary in that regard because Antoine Cook had beaten Truss and Jones right now upfield to blow that play up.
Georgia wants to score a touchdown here as they're back in the red zone. Kicking too many field goals, Kirby Smart says. This is McConkey, who gets lassoed down at the 10.
It's a great effort by McConkey because it was almost like a pincer. He had 2 defenders on the outside, 2 defenders coming from the inside. Kent State did a great job defensively of diagnosing that play. It's the second effort by McConkey to pick up positive yards.
A rough first half with a fumble and a muff punt. He has dusted himself off. Played a great second half, including an acrobatic catch. Oscar Delp checks in at tight end, and following him is McIntosh. He gets down to the 5. First and goal. Look at the block Delp makes, Stinch.
It's a great job crossing the formation. Physical up in the line of scrimmage. You want to get that hat inside so the guy doesn't slide off and make the play. And McIntosh limps off the field.
Timeouts called by Kent State. Georgia has over 500 yards of total offense trying to put this game away.
We made USAA Renters Insurance for the stuff you love. Because if it's worth lugging up 5 floors, it's worth protecting for as low as 33 cents a day. It's that simple. USAA. What you're made of, we're made for. USAA.
It's already 93 billion light years across, and it's still expanding. Sure makes you feel small, doesn't it?
I still feel pretty big.
I still feel pretty big.
That leg, and he's in the medical tent now as he just came off the field. Meanwhile, Brock Bowers, who was limping just a bit, is fine and is back in the game. This is what happened to McIntosh, Stinch.
He got a helmet to his lower leg there right as he planted his left foot. Might have hyperextended that knee a little bit. Incidentally, the guy who made the hit, Nico Bolden, is off as you see Brock Bowers in the huddle and on the field.
2 rushing touchdowns, including a 75-yard run, the second play of the game. This is a first and goal for Georgia, up 10, under 8 minutes to go. With McIntosh out, Milton stands to Bennett's right. The toss to him. Kendall is hit right at the line. Second down as Caleb Johns came in there, but he's also banged up.
Another big shot made by a Kent State defender, and another Kent State defender down.
Timeout on the field for a player injury.
Johns levies the hit. Player from Lancaster, Georgia, still down though. It'll be 2nd and goal for Georgia when we come back.
Turning your squad into a car wash? Weird flex. Turning your squad into a carpool so you drive less? Good flex. Auto insurance that flexes with you. That's what we're made for.
What if you were a global energy company with customers in different places on different systems? So you call in IBM and Red Hat to create an open hybrid cloud platform. Now data is available anywhere securely. Let's create a hybrid cloud that can change an industry. IBM, let's create.
Linebacker for Kent State, and he's played a great game. We'll see if that impacts Kent State here on a 2nd and goal for Georgia. The Golden Flashes 5-yard line.
Really active player right there in the middle of the Kent State defense. Had a QB pressure earlier this quarter. We've seen a couple of Golden Flashes. Key players, Caleb Johns and also, of course, Nico Bolden, leave the field injured the past 2 snaps. Golden Flash defense undermanned right now, defending a 5-yard field.
10th play of the drive, and Bennett hands to Edwards. And Dejan is down inside the 3. CJ West on the tackle, 3rd and goal for Georgia.
I mentioned CJ West more than a couple of times this game. Very active at his defensive tackle position.
What do you call here if you're Todd Monken?
What about an end around to Brock Bowers? That seems to work every single time. Is that too easy? The guy that was limping earlier, you see now as they explode out, Bowers to the left of the formation.
They throw it that way instead to Edwards, and Edwards tries to reach in, and he's short. Marvin Pierre on the tackle at the 1.
That's a great effort by Marvin Pierre. Fantastic, in fact. You've got Darnell Washington over there, big bodies. Bowers blocks down from the inside, from the core of the defense, and Pierre gets all the way out there. The question is, did Edwards get that ball across? Maybe his outside foot was out of bounds before he extended the ball.
Did have his right arm reach across that pylon, but here's Bennett at the 1, turns to Milton. Milton, extra effort, looks like he's in. Yes. That was a 12-play, 75-yard drive, culminating with this touchdown.
Heck of an effort by Kendall Milton. Seen that a couple of times here this half. Not a clean insertion. Had to dance a little bit, maybe one step too much to try to find a way to insert into that line of scrimmage. Georgia scoring on their last 5 possessions.
None of which have been easy.
No, they've had to earn their way down.
Podlesny makes it 39-22. You would never know that Kent State was a 45-point underdog coming into this game. They have fought Georgia the whole way. Kent State gets the football back with 5.5 minutes to go, and they'll get it at the 25-yard line. Colin Schlee, 14 of 19 passing for 174 yards. And Kent State on the ground today has got 90 yards rushing from Malik Cooper. Had a 12-play drive that ended in a field goal 2 drives ago and went 13 plays for a touchdown on the last drive.
I mean, after opening the second half with their 4th 3-and-out, they've put together long drives all the way down the football field.
And that ball looked like it was deflected, and then Dan Jackson drills Dante Cephas.
Big hit, clean hit. This is one of those that draws the ooze from the crowd, right? You can arrive early. That ball looked like it was tipped early. You see Dan Jackson. That's where you target your hit to avoid a targeting call.
Jackson has turned into a all-SEC type performer this year. Had that 50-50 ball for an interception last week. In the Gamecocks victory, Schlee has all kinds of time. He's thrown into double coverage though, and this is just like a punt. Christopher Smith intercepts it and runs to his Georgia bench.
Picked off by number 29, Christopher Smith.
Good to see one of the more popular players on the team get to put the golden pads on.
You know what Schlee was thinking right here? This is a YOLO ball from the quarterback at Kent State, and Christopher Smith on the receiving end.
Stench, he is the complete student athlete.
And a great leader on this football team. A guy that he talked about, he was kind of apprenticed into this defense. Made big plays last year. He's made some key plays this year. One of those guys that they look to not only for his veteran leadership, but his playmaking ability.
Bennett still in there, and it's Dejon Edwards to the ground. Not much. Maybe a yard. I would like to say well wishes to William Poole, the man they call Bill. He retired this week. He's been a teammate of Christopher Smith's for going on a decade. Guy is a 6th-year senior from Hapeville Charter Heights School, just where Smith played in Atlanta. Celebrated by all of his teammates, former and current, when he gave out the announcement on Instagram. It was impressive to see some of those Georgia alums that had great comments to make about him. Bennett again to Edwards. And Dejon falls forward to the 40-yard line. He's so good at that at the end of the game. It'll be 3rd and 2 from there.
Yeah, I mean, he's a Sandman. I mean, he put games to bed. This is what he does. We've seen him do it throughout his career. He's getting earlier snaps in games. He's earned it, part of the rotation. But just remarkable in scenarios like these where you're looking to sock it away, turn it into a 9-on-7 inside run drill. See big Warren Erickson in there now at right guard.
Look at the rushing numbers today. Edwards has the most yards rushing of any tailback between McIntosh, Milton, and Dejon. And on 3rd and 2, he gets the first down.
It's the same play 3 times in a row from Georgia. Basically just you're pulling Truss, you're pulling Oscar Delp around, and letting Dejon Edwards figure out where he wants to hit the line of scrimmage.
He comes out, and the true freshman Branson Robinson will come in. Edwards with 73 yards rushing today. This has been one tall order for Georgia, facing a physical Kent State squad. Robinson, with fresh legs, is into Kent State territory to the 48. Here's the upcoming schedule for the Dogs. They play at Mizzou next Saturday night on SEC Network at 7:30 Eastern Time, and then they host Auburn back at Sanford Stadium in 2 weeks. It's going to take some time to get used to Auburn coming to Georgia in October instead of November. And then Tennessee, at Mississippi State, at Kentucky. To me, that's the toughest stretch, of course, after you get the Gators in Jacksonville.
And, of course, your next two opponents facing one another today in Missouri and Auburn. Vanderbilt as well, but you mentioned it, Taylor. It's November when things start to really tighten up. See the way Tennessee's playing. It'll be a lot of fun to see how they perform this evening versus Florida. Looking to get back on the right side of things with that one. From a Tennessee perspective, they have struggled against the Gators.
Still 14 all between Mizzou and Auburn with under 2 minutes to go. Auburn is driving. Catch that game on ESPN.
Quite the bounce-back performance. Didn't think I'd say that coming into the season for Auburn, but a needed opportunity to get a victory on the heels of getting drugged by Penn State.
Robinson on 2nd and 2, and he's going to go backwards into Georgia territory as Alex Branch makes the tackle.
That's one bounce too many by the freshman. Eventually you learn that. You can only bounce it so many times. These guys have wheels too. He's looking to get outside, and by then the cavalry's usually on your heels.
I would like to say that all season we like to pay tribute to moments in SEC history. There's a moment that we would like to recognize. Hope to get that in for you at the end of the game. Robinson trying to move the chains, and he's right there at the marker. And they're going to move the chains. This marks the 25th year anniversary of a statement win. None of the pundits saw coming. Dogs had lost 7 in a row to the Gators, 20-point underdogs coming into the 97 game in Jacksonville. They're down 17-14 in the third quarter. How about this block from Matt Stinchcomb? Go to the ground, you Gator. Tailback Robert Edwards over 100 yards, 4 touchdowns on defense. Some junior named Kirby Smart picked off 2 Gator passes, lose by 20. Bark at that nonsense. On top by 20, Georgia won 37-17, a lifelong Georgia boy. Stinchcomb would go on to be a 2-time All-American, get drafted in the first round of the NFL before realizing of his dream of calling games with me here on SEC Network.
That's right.
Georgia beats Kent State today 39-22, and Stinch, it was hard for 60 minutes.
Yeah, none of the prognosticators saw this one coming, right? And the money was wrong big time when you think about the way this game unfolded. It was a slog for the Dogs. A couple of times where trying to get some deep passes, it's like, is this echolocation? Open those eyes, open your hands, try to come up with a catch. Didn't work out in that regard. Several bright spots, but quite a few coaching opportunities for Georgia coming out of this game, Phil.
You don't want to see your team rattled, but you want to see some adversity. Kirby Smart got it today. Here he is with Tara.
Coach, Kent State definitely put up a fight today. How do you feel about the way that your team responded to the challenge?
Well, it's what we needed. Hard-fought game, good football team. I said all week this team's got a really good football team. They play really hard. They play physical. They got a really good scheme and system on both sides of the ball. And I thought their kids fought hard, and I thought ours did too. We came out in the second half and responded really well.
You cleaned up things offensively, ending the game with over 500 yards for the 3rd game this season so far. How do you feel about their execution?
Well, we're executing well. Can't turn the ball over. That's the Achilles heel anytime you turn it over. But I was proud of the way they fought and played. And, you know, our team needed this. We needed this. And I was really proud. We had a better week of practice than we even did game. But give Kent State a lot of credit. They got a good program.
All right, Coach. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Go Dogs.
Kirby and the Dogs are 4-0 as they play Mizzou next Saturday night, Stinch.
Yep, opportunities for improvement, no doubt, but plenty of bright spots, as Kirby Smart pointed out. Some adversity, some in-game adversity for the first time all season. Opportunities to coach and also keep the attention and focus of your team. And, of course, Kent State, they got conference games coming up. This team has got a lot more in front of it. Sean Lewis and his staff have them well positioned for success in the MAC.
Another beautiful day on the campus of the University of Georgia in Athens. In Sanford Stadium, Kent State gave Georgia all they could handle. but it's the Dogs on top, 39-22. Top-ranked team in America goes on the road to Columbia, Missouri next Saturday night. For Matt Stinchcomb and Tara Talmadge, I'm Taylor Zarzer. So long.